Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. We have a very special and a very different podcast for you guys today. There was some drama that happened this week where a number of players were suspended from Star Citizen for 3 months for their actions in game. A PvP player killing type org. I don't know the details exactly on that situation, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. I did try to get a member from that org, but they decided not to come on, which is probably a good idea for them. But at the same time, the point of today's show is to discuss CIG taking action on players like this. There were also players that were warned. We have a couple of those players on the show today. So they're going to be able to share their piece, as well as players who have been harassed before in Star Citizen, and they're going to be able to be on the show and share their piece. How we're going to do it, though, is I have a number of guests today, and they are going to be calling in, basically, to the show in order, and then at the end, we'll give about 10 or so minutes if they want to discuss amongst themselves about things that were said on the show today. So we're going to start out with Virgil, who was one of the people who got a warning. But before we go into that, I'm going to speak my piece a little bit at the beginning because I really want to give them their time. Okay? And I actually had to write notes down so I stay pretty succinct. The wording in the post was from player relations to these players was really poor. One of the things that was said that a lot of PvPers are locking onto is the wording of excessive player killing. That was then dialed back from Xylo and said that's not what should have been said. What should have been said was targeted harassment. So excessive player killing needs to be labeled as targeted harassment. If anybody that comes on the show really dials in on that, I am going to interrupt you and say, hey, that's not what it meant. That's not what they mean. They corrected themselves. Done. If you want to address the fact that this happens all the time, that they always have to address themselves, then you could say that. I'm not really having an issue with this. Streamers are getting blamed a lot for this. Streamers are to blame to some extent, but the blaming of streamers is not an excuse for your own actions. Okay? Only attention... the only attention that PvPers get from CIG is negative. We're not getting a lot of attention from PvP peers in a positive way, in the sense of providing gameplay avenues for them to enjoy. We're only getting, you can't do that all the time. That's not healthy, and that's not good. These bans are warranted. The suspensions are warranted. The warnings are warranted. The players involved have played the game the way the game allows them to play. But there's more to it than that. There's, inappropriate behavior that's gone on throughout within those actions, right? I do want to touch on stream sniping just a little bit. I think stream sniping is a super gray area that is really weird to deal with because it's very hard to prove, especially in a game like Star Citizen, where there's so many tools at players' hands to find players because the game is super broken. Specifically, let's just use the player list, for example. Oh my god, I'm on SaltEMike server. Well, guess what? If SaltEMike is in... I don't want to use myself in third person. That's so cringe. If I am on a server, it's because I'm streaming, right? So try to find me, and then, are you a stream sniper then? It's really weird. So... I am going to try and jump in occasionally on people's talks, but very, very seldomly. And that'll be it, okay? So, yeah. Here we go. First caller, Virgil. Just so you guys know, everybody that's watching the show, everybody's going to get 15 minutes. There's going to be a sound that plays. At the end of that 15 minutes, it's, hey, final thoughts, and we move on, because people tend to ramble on the podcast, and we let them go for too long, and then people who have actual opinions towards the end of the show don't get to have them. So we're going to try to give everybody their fair shake. So let's bring on Virgil. What's up, Virgil? Here we go.
Hey, you ready?
Yeah, I think so. Are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So share your piece.
All right. So I got to be quick. 15 minutes. My name's Virgil. I'm the head of Shadow Moses, which is probably the villain or the bad guys in this whole narrative. And throughout this whole situation, I've actually been talking really closely to Xylo, and I just want to throw it out there that the support we've gotten from him and the way he's handled this and the insight that he's provided has been like super well and like really appreciative. And being the guys that got this warning and the open channel we've had with him has been like super good. So I just want to say, as far as those guys who are the face of CIG with a lot of these things, I just want to say that I don't blame them for anything that's gone on or anything along those lines, and they've been really reasonable to deal with. Now, first off, I guess what I'll say is, let's just get spicy and straight into it. We're the org that took out the or attacked the Daymar rally. We're the org that goes after organizations. We're the villain in the story when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And the thing is with a lot of the PvP that happens in this game, outside of camping Port Olisar or going to Daymar Shubin or whatever you have it, there's not much glue to bring PvP or organizations together. The content isn't there, the mechanics from the CIG isn't there, and we're an org that takes our relationship seriously in the sense that when other organizations, are really public about their opinions of us or something like that, we often keep them accountable, or decide to play it out through the game. Now, I got the warning myself for stream sniping, and a lot of my guys got warnings for harassment. And those were the two ones. Now, the people who got suspended, two of their suspensions were pad ramming, and one of them was stream sniping. Now, the warning I got was stream sniping, and
what was it, that excessive player killing / stream sniping, or was it just stream sniping?
No, the warning I got myself was just stream sniping.
Okay.
But the rest of my guys, and like a lot of our guys, got the excessive player killing, which was supposed to be targeted harassment.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about the targeted harassment thing is that, almost everything you can do in the game can fit under that umbrella. Talking in local chat, like banter, attacking players more than twice. So much is covered by that. So I think
yes, but I think it's really clear. I think like what you're looking for is clarity, right? But I think it's pretty clear what harassment is, and just killing a player twice is, I think, clearly not harassment. But continue.
I think the problem is, though, is a lot of us don't know where harassment is, and we've been asked to, assume where the line is, and a lot of us don't know exactly where that is. Like, for example, even pad ramming, when it comes to it, I consider pad ramming to be ramming someone's ship on the pad before they can spawn to their ship or even have an ability to play the game. Mm-hmm. Now, would I consider someone that keeps going into an armistice zone to abuse it for a PvP shield? Then I'd ram them. I wouldn't consider that breaking TOS, and I don't think I'm stopping anyone from playing the game. But and we're now finding out that that's punishable, which is fine. Like, that costs us nothing. Whatever, we can wear that. If that's punishable moving forward, so be it. But
I think that is probably punishable, and I think you lost if you didn't kill him and he got into the armistice zone, and you just got to own your loss.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no PvP that happens anywhere outside of an armistice zone. Like,
yeah,
all PvP, Daymar Shubin, everything, it's tied to an armistice zone. They're the only hotspots of the armistice zone.
Sure.
But anyways, so I guess, the point I wanted to come here, and I think a lot of people are really trying to control the narrative when it comes to this stuff. And sure. I saw that you were reading the thread earlier in the on your stream and stuff like that.
I think that, and I just think that
the risk. Yeah. I
think it's good. I'm torn. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to come out and say, like, I think there's real stream sniping and real stream sniping exists. I think that, if XQC comes into the game, someone shouldn't be dressed up in a banana suit making it hell for him and not letting his Aurora get off the pad. Like, or if Linus Tech Tips comes on and, his first day playing, he's getting ambushed by all these players. I get that. I think real stream sniping exists. But I think stream sniping and griefing and stuff like this is used by content creators as a meta weapon to get back at people, and to blanket accuse people, to feel better and balance the equation when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Now, the thing
I paused your clock for a second. I want to jump in on that just for one sec. I agree with that like 100%, and I'll say this is every single I've been stream sniped, right? And we talked about this morning. Every single time I died, the first thing that comes to my mind is I got sniped. Like if I die unexpectedly, the first thing I think of is I got sniped, and that's so unhealthy, right? And I know I'm not the only one, and unpaused. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Like I said, I think real stream sniping exists. It's really there, and something should be dealt about it. And I think the game design doesn't help these guys at all. Like it really doesn't. Like the game doesn't help you evade this in the slightest sense. And I understand that. Now, like I said, my organization's just here like what's fun and keeping me playing day to day is like spaceship battles, right? And the only way to do that is through organization stuff, or you're scripting it. Now, if you want to do it unscripted, you're leaning on the mechanics of this game to get there, meaning you have to familiarize yourself with the community. You have to look through the local playlist, and you have to know all the hotspots. Now, the problem I have, and I think that we need to put some light towards, is that when people are looking to have, interactions with groups or stuff like this, or, have organic group battles, or, whatever your gameplay loop is. If you want to go, pirate someone, for example, a lot of the time there's these groups of players, and the problem we're running into is these groups of players are orbiting around a streamer. Like it's an elephant in the room. And I want to say this in the sense that and I want to use this example. I know we talked about it in DMs earlier, but for example, Mongrel Squad, and I want to use these guys as an example. Not so much us, but Mongrel Squad, because I know that these guys really are getting misunderstood. And is that these guys play in an Australian time zone, and you are one of the only organizations that they are willing or able to pirate that are playing in their time zone. And the first interaction you had with them was really poor, right? Like you would describe it as that.
It was horrible.
Yeah. And your knee-jerk reaction to getting pirated by these guys was that they were stream sniping.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Yeah. Now I believe that was my initial reaction, and then because they immediately came into my channel and started talking shit.
Yeah. Well, it was it and. Before that, did you think it was sniping? Before they came into the chat?
Not necessarily, but yeah, probably. I don't know exactly what I thought, but I would not put myself past thinking that instantly, like I said earlier.
Yeah. And my point is that a lot of people knee-jerk react and just see it as, stream sniping's the easiest conclusion to reach.
Yep.
And people don't realize how extremely easy it is to find people.
Exactly.
Now, like I said, and I've spoke to you about this. If I wanted, say I had my org has a bad relationship or an interest in fighting Berks' org, it's so insanely easy using the game mechanics that I can go and log into a server, go, hey, Berks is here, and he's got a couple of his guys. I recognize some of his names. It would take 5 minutes to sort through that local list, not even less, because we know the community, to sort through that list and cross-reference that with the people that are in his org. And then I can go, oh, okay, he's got 8 players. What activities are there in the verse that you would need 8 players for? And what locations would they be at? They're going to be at either Shubin, they're going to be at New Barbage, they're going to be at Everest, or they're going to be at Daymar or Grimhead. if we send a guy to every one of those locations, we're going to find that group and then we're going to get the PvP again. Like, and I know he's in this server because he's on the local list. But my point is like, you know, we hop servers and we're trying to find PvP and we find it, and sometimes people aren't happy that they received it. And I think a lot of the content creators that play this game right now are treating these like private lobbies and don't want to run into piracy. They don't want to run into other organizations.
Why do you think they do that? Why do you think they feel that way?
Sorry, feel what way in particular?
That the lobby is why they're using it as a private lobby.
I think it's their stream. I think people are doing it to benefit their stream. Like, you know, that a lot of people, and it's the 50-man player limitation.
Of course.
But yeah, like I think that people, instead of organically like playing with the rest of the community or something, they go into a server, 30 players, and then they go into their corner of the verse and they have their scripted event or their scripted gameplay. And then the second anything unscripted interrupts them, you know, they immediately turn towards the terms of service. And that's a problem like we run into a lot. But
perfectly fair. But I think the issue is, I think you're placing the blame on the person and not on the game as enough. The reason that they're using the private, like creating as much of a private lobby as they possibly can and using the player cap to do so, is because the game doesn't provide them a place that is safe from being like where they can create their scripted content without having to look over their shoulders. Do you feel that the game should allow a place for that? Because I get the sense from a majority of the PvP community that they think the game is entirely PvP, nothing else.
No, I think the games should fit everybody. And like, you know, in the future, it's going to have like, you know, these safe spaces where players that, you know, fit that criteria can rest in and not worry about it. And then there'll be that high risk, high reward for the rest of the
Okay.
And I think they deserve that space for sure. Like,
Then if you attack somebody trying to provoke a fight, like I can't go easy on you here, right? You attack other orgs, and specifically you call them orgs, but you're really attacking streamers that have orgs.
No, that's not.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're right. You attack orgs, but you also attack streamers, and streamers.
Yeah, by association, streamers have to fit into some sort of org. Yeah,
exactly. Right. Sorry for that. No,
that's fine.
When expecting a response, when you don't get that response, and the response is move servers, it's my understanding, this is hearsay, that you will follow.
Yeah. We will follow if there's an extremely poor relationship, and you know, the rivalry runs that deep. Sure.
Define a poor
have we
relationship.
followed past 2 servers? Like just open season, like, you know, trash talking each other on social medias, you know, Discords, local chat, stuff like that, which is pretty frequent. And some of it's just banter and stuff like that. But rivalries exist, and you know, it's something that we excite ourselves for. Like, you know, we wanna actually have a reason to go have spaceship battles with people. And you know, even some of the guys in this podcast are in rival organizations. Goloith, to mention one, who we've had like some insane amounts of fun with. And, you know, it was a real, like, you know, poor relationship that sprung all of that content. Yep. So, yeah, it exists. And like, you know, I know we're running out of time, so I just want to hit this hard, should streamers be accountable for the content they produce? For example, okay, like, say you're using your stream to, like, slander or accuse some, like, groups of players of cheating or being this type of personality or guilty of, you know, X things. Should you be responsible for the relationship that you share with the Star Citizen community because of it? Like,
absolutely.
You know, if you, and that's the thing, right? Is like, so if we're going through these servers and I see, there's SaltEMike, and, you know, he's got these guys in his organization that are, you know, purposely have a bad relationship with us, and then we use that as an opportunity to attack you because the relationship's bad. You know, is that targeted harassment, or is that just a rivalry? Is that just gameplay? Because at some point, you know, the relationships that we all have with each other has to come to some sort of conclusion. We have to start, you know, PvPing against each other, whether or not if we want to PvP, that's up to, whoever. But at some point, I think that these streamers and these organizations have to realize that, some of this stuff is going to rub other people the wrong way, and they have the ability to shoot at your spaceship because of it. It's like, and that's what's so crazy about all of this. I know I'm really running out of time. Is that this is all just PvP and spaceships? Like, I don't genuinely. I think there's it's 1% of the cases that are being dealt with, or something that is really people getting griefed off the game or stream sniped off the game, and the rest I think are just spaceship battles.
Yeah.
So,
and
I know I've run out of time. I probably didn't want to hit the points I did.
Well,
but
I'm going to give you a little bit more because there's
enough.
something I still want to really address with you. Is
Yeah.
the actions of, like, we've talked about this, and I want to make sure we address this on the podcast a little bit. Is your actions of actually attacking players is, I don't think anybody has an issue with. It tends to be like the Gen Chat talk after the, like, things tend with. My experience, the big thing that I want to address here is players like Virgil are getting put into a box, and I don't necessarily think it's 100% fair, but it also is, because there are situations that I've been made aware of, where you get involved with people, but then it goes too far. And goes too far might be pad ramming, goes too far might be combat logging, like you're trying to get away from that. People have mentioned that a million times about you, and like you said, you did it once, whatever. But people create these scenarios with you, and where are they, like, are they valid criticism of you, and do you feel that you were deserving of some warning, but maybe not the one that you got?
Yeah, I think I'd fit better under the targeted harassment category. And I think the problem is too, and I want to, we should probably talk about this. I know we're going over time, and this isn't related to, my argument or my debate, but we should know that, like, some of the people that got these warnings. Wait, why can I hear myself? Oh, sorry. Some of the warnings that the players got, like, I think one player in our org has got like 2 or 3 hours played in the last year, and they got a warning too.
Yes. This seemed to be very blanket.
Some of our players, one of our players is exiting the military and, like, hasn't been online for 4 months, and he got a warning too. And a lot of us don't even have the memory to look back and think, what could it have been? Like, at what scenario or what example, or, what did I get busted for? I don't think anyone really knows. We know, like, why they say, but we don't know the specific instance.
True. It seemed to
be
a bit blanket.
I think that's important to know.
Yep. It seemed to be a bit blanket, which looks really bad on CIG's part, and seems a little bit mishandled. But all right, Virgil, if you want, hang out and call or dump, and then we might all join together at the end and have a little bit more of a chat for another 10 or so minutes, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. GG's.
Later, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. The 15-minute timer is a bit rough. It's kind of tough to get all your points in, so I might give people, like, the chance to finish their points here and there. All right, our next caller is Morpologis. I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. Hey, Morph, what's up?
Hey, man.
Hey, if you want to turn your camera on, you can. If you don't have to. It's up to you.
I was just about to ask you, do you want me to turn my camera on before we start the timer?
It's all entirely up to you. Oh, fun. No,
you might have to turn my camera. What? Hold on 1 second. I don't know what the hell's going on with my camera. This has been happening a lot with Discord. It keeps changing my input for the camera on stream.
It's your capture
messing
card.
Up and I keep switching in between different inputs, and I've got like a bunch of them, so it's.
You're sideways.
If that helps.
I see you.
There we go. I've turned my camera sideways for my stream. I don't know if you're able to flip it. Are you able to flip it? Otherwise, I can flip my camera.
I'll try. Hold on.
Why is your video so delayed?
Why is mine? I don't know. It's not looking delayed on mine.
Yeah, your Discord video. Your Discord video is delayed by at least like 30 seconds. It's bizarre.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Oh no, I flipped the wrong thing.
Hold on, I gotta see this. This sounds funny.
Yeah, this is. I just flipped the scene actually, not you. Oh,
That's one way to do it.
flip vertical. Hold on. Transform. Flip vertical. It's not. I can't flip you. I can't.
All right,
rotate
I'll
you.
flip the camera.
Sorry, man. You and your fancy rectangle stream. I got you because now I flipped you, so I have to flip you back.
There we go. Yeah, wrong way though. Now I'm upside down.
I got you now. You're in there. Okay. So I initially had only PvPers on the podcast in the sense of people who were likely being targeted as people who were being harassed or people who were doing the harassing. And it was brought to my attention that I had nobody who had possibly been harassed. So I was like, well, I know Morphaz. So I messaged you like an hour or so before this to see if you wanted to come on the show, and you came. So I'll start the timer now. Feel free, share your story and what you think about this whole thing.
All right, so first of all, to preface the conversation, I actually was trying to figure out what I was going to do this weekend for some content, and because
they hit
15
us.
didn't end up coming out, right? I decided to kind of maybe explore this idea with what's going on with the messages that I saw, because like, well, that's kind of strange. That seems a little extreme. I could see how that could cause some chaos and drama in the community, and so I decided to, before I made a video, bring myself up to speed by talking to a couple people, talking to Xylo, talking to Moist, talking to CaptainBerks. Because Berks actually posted a picture, I think of somebody else. I think it was Virgil. I think he actually retweeted Virgil's image.
Yep.
Just kind of get an understanding, engage the reaction, and see people's perspectives, and see if it was really as extreme as I thought it was. But it so turned out that, as Virgil already revealed, that CIG's verbiage was just incorrect. And after talking to Xylo, it was apparent that this was just meant to target specifically people who had been accused with evidence of griefing. And CIG's stance has always been that, griefing is against TOS. It's just that enforcement has been somewhat lax. And I think that's something that, and I won't try to step on the toes of Berks or Moist too much, because we had a long conversation, so I won't reveal too much. I'll leave that for them. Anyway, just if it was that there's this misunderstanding with it, and really it actually only affected a really, really tiny part of the community. What it in fact did, from what I've gathered here, was create a bit of a scare for the PvP community because of the way it was worded as excessive player killing. People interpreted that understandably as killing too many players, because that's what it exactly sounds like. But really, like I said, like you said, and like was established, it was just meant for griefers. Now, I think that the perspective on this has been somewhat distorted, because the people who have been banned are making a really big deal out of it and being really loud, making it seem like it's a bigger deal than it actually is. But I don't want to be dismissive of the root issue here, which is what I wanted to get at with the conversations that I had with the various people that I talked to today.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping in mind that it's actually affected a very, very, very tiny percentage of the PvP community, people feel like the PvP side of Star Citizen has not yet really been addressed. And I think what really comes down to why there's so much confusion about what's griefing and what's PvP is because the mechanics in Star Citizen right now are not conducive to an environment where you can choose whether or not you want to intersect with the people who want to PvP. What I mean is that the current mechanics kind of encourage people to camp at stations, because that's the only location right now where you can reliably get PvP. The other side of it is that because of the way the mechanics in Star Citizen work right now, the only way you can get PvP is to become a criminal, because that's the only scenario where people are reliably coming to you. The reverse of that being bounty hunting has always been, since its inception, a great idea in theory, but hunting people down, as you've already discovered, and Moist already discovered, and I discovered, anybody who's tried it knows that you'll spend 2, 3, 4 hours hunting somebody only to have them log off, which is really unfulfilling and frustrating. So really what you're left with is, if you want a PvP, you've only got one option in the PU. To reliably get it, you got to go camp a station or become a criminal or do both, which is what people do, because ultimately that's what gathers people's attention.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know I just wanted to.
I'm gonna try and change the region and see if
that's really weird.
It was weird. It's like your camera changed and then it started lagging. I'll see if I can try and change the region, but the call, can I do it? No. I don't know. Yeah, it's lagging in and out. I wouldn't worry about it too much more. Just continue. We hear you fine, and that's all that really matters.
Okay. So, yeah, that was on the clock, by the way.
I got you. I got you, brother. I got you.
33 more seconds. All right. All right. Just trying to get what I'm owed here.
I got you.
All right. So, anyway, I think what's interesting about this whole situation is not really the drama. I don't think it's that big of an issue, them dealing with griefers. I think from the evidence that I've seen that the people who have been targeted with good reason, with plenty of evidence, and that people afraid of this are it's just been too sensationalized by the small group of people who are trying to make it bigger out than it is because it benefits them. They're shaping the argument in a way that benefits them. And I don't think it's making the argument really, really lopsided and unfair. And it's also painting, I think it's also unfairly painting PvPers in a certain light, because by trying to co-opt people who are just PvPers into this griefing, they're making all PvPers maybe seem like griefers in a way, if you kind of understand what I'm getting at there.
Sure, yeah. I think they also really just want to know what they can do. Like, what the idea of, like, what am I allowed to do is a big question.
Right.
And I think that's part of the problem, too.
Well, I think that
what do you think of them asking
the issue with the issue with revealing what what the rules are is that when you start creating rules, you create boundaries that people can find ways around. By creating a little bit of uncertainty around it, it gives CIG more leeway to react to situations, and they really do seem to approach it on a case-by-case basis. I have it on very good authority that they don't do blanket bans. It's very case by case. If it so turns out that a lot of people in an org have gotten this notification, it's because they individually have been participating in a way that seems to break TOS. So, I like I said, I think that argument is just it seems a little bit one-sided. What's more interesting to me is the reason behind this, because I think by finding a solution, we create a scenario that really clearly defines and separates the people who are PvPing and the people who are griefing, because we're always going to have griefers. We're always going to have these notorious people who are just out there to ruin Linus Tech Tips Day. It's going to happen. But right now the line's really blurred because these people are camping stations because there's no other alternative really. They're resorting to killing people who maybe don't want to PvP, people who are in a prospector who have no way of fighting back, right? And that's where the line starts to blur, because it feels like griefing to these new players who are kind of forced into the situation they have no idea how to get out of. So by introducing a mechanic that allows PvPers to find a place where they can PvP reliably, I think it solves the issue for everybody, because the people who don't want to PvP understand what areas to avoid, and the people who do know where to go. I actually have a couple of solutions that I'd like to propose if you're interested.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard you have solutions. I also have one, but I'm not going to share it during yours. Go ahead.
So the first idea, obviously, is to bring back Jumptown, and this one's really easy. Everyone's mentioned it, so I'll go over it really, really quickly. Basically have an area where there's high supply, high demand, really high value stuff, 1 or 2 locations. That's it, that people know about. That's really interesting. That would probably work. But I think that there are a couple more interesting ways to do this. Let me bring up my list here. One of them that I was really excited about was actually something that's coming in 3.13, and that is the new quantum sensitive cargo. So if you can imagine that they limit, so they have a bunch of different routes, right? But they have maybe 1 or 2 super valuable routes to the quantum sensitive cargo, say that goes from the 100-kilometer away outpost near Lorville to Lorville. This creates an area where people can come to try to make a lot of money. And at the cost or the risk of being intercepted by a PvPer. It also gives people the opportunity to use ballistas and Novatonks on the ground to like shoot people flying by or like guard a route that the org has created to make a lot of money. So I think that that's one possible solution that they're adding into the game that I'm not so sure that they've balanced in a way that can create this cool PvP environment. Um, the other one that I actually is probably my favorite of the ideas that that I also think should really be in the game at some point is to tie the heat system. And if you guys don't know what the heat system is, it's where if you keep doing bad things, you get a proportional amount of Crusader security and eventually UE Navy that comes to try to stop you. Tying that heat map system to the actual heat UI system in the game, but done in a way that makes sense with lore. So you won't get heat map pop up if you're shooting somebody outside of a comm array where there's no Crusader security, but you will get one if you're blowing stuff up outside of Port Alisar and Crusader responds, or if the comm array detects that you're committing a felony, that your heat map pops up and you know, okay, there's something going on here. And if I'm a PvPer, I want to go to that area. I think what this does is effectively creates a dynamic jump town where once a heat map starts to form, all the PvPers start to collate in the area and create this dynamic location that's different every time you play. It could be on Microtech somewhere. It could be near Port Alisar. It could be anywhere you want in the Stanton system, which, by the way, is massive. I mean, Moist pointed out that just Microtech is bigger than the landmass of Canada, and all that space is virtually useless with the current game mechanics. If we had a heat map, PvPers could create nexuses of PvP virtually anywhere, and it could be really, really cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I like a lot of that stuff. I think the big thing is you still need to have the most important thing though is this isn't the blanket solution of everything. Is giving these places to players, right? They still need to be able. PKers exist in game, and you can call them a griefer, you call them whatever you want, but they do need to have everybody needs to be able to play the game the way they want to, without hurting everyone else too much. If you go out of your way a little bit, you might get PK'd, right? There needs to be safe places and not safe places. I don't want to take that away from players because I think that that's important. Like, PvP sounds mutual. Player killing is not. And there needs to the game still has to allow for non-mutual combat, right?
Right. And that's the important differentiation. That's why I said that the mechanics or locations have to be within lore. It can't be an arbitrary this is a PvP area arena sort of thing, because that's not what I think I or any of the people that I've talked to like about Star Citizen. The sandbox creates the unexpected like chance encounter of the emergent gameplay that is so exciting about this game that makes each scenario different. The difference is what makes it exciting. That's why like Arena Commander and Theaters of War, as cool as they are not really a solution for PvPers who like Star Citizen, because it's the same scenario over and over and over again, which just gets old, right?
Yeah, 100%. And and a lot of people do use that argument, like go play Arena Commander then if you want to fight spaceships. Like I'm sure somebody responded that to what Virgil said. I just want to fight in big group spaceship battles. Like the big thing for me is that I think, how do you feel about as someone who streams, as someone who makes content, that the narrative is really getting a lot of blame is getting put on us? How do you feel about that? Like, I did start out with, I think a good part of the blame is the immediate stream sniping response. Like, you sniped me. The accusations, those things, they do cause. There's no denying that they did bring some element of this to the table, where CIG felt that there was a problem and needed to be one. There needed to be a response.
I think that the response was, I mean, the wording obviously was inappropriate, but the response was appropriate.
Okay.
The
response from the community.
I think the response from the community, like I said, I think it's overblown. But ultimately, the issue isn't really the players. I think it's just that Star Citizen just doesn't have enough content right now.
Yeah.
And people who want certain things and people who don't want certain things are thrown into the same small area, and they're forced to confront one another without any diverting gameplay mechanic to satiate their desire. So, like, if PvPers had a place to go to PvP, they'd do it. And if people who didn't want to PvP had a place to go, they would do that. And those people wouldn't necessarily have to interact. Would there be interaction? Yes, eventually, somebody might try to intercept somebody doing PvE, and that's fine, and that's exciting.
Those areas have to cross over.
They have to cross over. I agree. They should cross over, but I just think that there isn't enough of that right now to satisfy both sides of the player community, the PvPers and the PvEers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. That I think the biggest onus is on the game. The game,
right? Exactly. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think in many cases, if there's ever an interaction with CIG and the PvP community, it's largely negative. It's the don't do this or this is bad. Like, that's what we've seen. We haven't seen the we got you guys. Like, the Vandal mask was great. I thought that was like one of those elements, like, hey, we did something for you, see? But then there was this edge case that people ruined it for them. And like, so I just don't think that was like the solution. And I'm hoping that this Ninetales lockdown thing that they've been hinting at is the next step to that. And we'll have to see. But yeah.
Well, I mean, ultimately, if it is a mechanic that gives people, or a location that gives PvPers a place to go, for the most part, it will solve the issue. There will still be griefers. There will always be griefers, but it will be much clearer to, divide the people who are intentionally griefing and the people who are just trying to have fun.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really important thing to differentiate. The majority of PvPers are just trying to have fun and enjoy the game.
Sure. We got like 30 seconds left. What have your experiences been like with? Have you been harassed? What were they like? I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's been well known, I think, in the community at this point, that I have been harassed by people who were stream sniping me. But like I said, I still think it comes down to game mechanics. Them not having anything better to do, and it being fun to just go PvP somebody who reacts on stream. If there's more fun stuff for those people to do, then they'll do it. It's just that there isn't a lot of stuff, so it's really hard to be specifically mad at them.
Yeah.
When there isn't an alternative.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time, the reaction they get is not the reaction they're going for. The reaction they get is them getting mad, like the streamer getting mad, and then getting upset that their game is getting ruined, but or their content's getting ruined, but the reaction that they're hoping for is a battle. And what people forget is that when you die, like, it's just like jail. You have to wait for your ship to spawn. You have to go through an elevator. It takes a lot of time, and it's hard to create that battle after you die.
Right. And one last thing. I know I'm out of time. I just want to say one last thing that Virgil talked about, because I thought it was a really, really good point. It's that, like, people are the reason, like, some streamers want to go create their own scenarios in the game, because the reason why they're creating their own scenarios isn't because they like creating their own scenario. Well, some people do, but it's because there's nothing else to do. Like, you can only do the same mission over and over again. So they make this plan because that's the only thing to do if they're a Star Citizen streamer. And then it gets interrupted because the PvPers have nothing else to do either. So you've got two sides that don't have much to do, having to interact with each other in ways that are not fun for either party. In one way, like the people who are intercepted being, or at least one side's having fun and one side's not. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, that's the last thing I want to say, because I think that the no game mechanics works on both sides as being an issue.
Sure, but obviously, before you go, not every situation does everybody get a participation trophy. Sometimes there's a winner and sometimes there's a loser, right? Like, you're fine with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, I 100% fine with that. 100% fine with that.
Okay. All right, you got your beep, 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 Morph. So we'll see you later. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Our next caller is SpaceCutlet, so we'll see what he has to say. All right, thank you so much, man.
See you next time.
Later, buddy. All right, so our next caller is SpaceCutlet. Cutlet, you can turn on your cam if you want. If you don't, that's fine. How you doing?
Hey man, nah, I'll be without a cam. Right?
Okay.
Jealous.
Let's bring you up then. And then if you could turn your speakers down just slightly because I can hear myself.
Oh, that's bad. I cannot. It's my mic problem.
Okay, it's fine. It doesn't seem so bad. So let me start your timer. And yeah, what do you think? You can obviously address what other people said and so on.
I mean, Morph stole everything, so never put me after the Morph next time. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I could make jokes that obviously stream snipers should be banned, pad rammers should be not banned because just to detect them and ban them later. But all that stuff, and the prisoners have to stay in prison for a week in an online mode, so they think on what they've done, right? But all jokes aside, I want to talk about less the issue that's going on with the orgs, right? Like
Sure.
SDC guys getting banned, Shadow Moses getting warnings, all that. That is like everyone is speaking about that, and
Yeah.
you know, everyone has their own opinion on do they deserve it or not.
What's yours?
Honestly, no one will know the truth, like, because there will never be a real evidence of what certain people did or not. So I don't want to be a judge there.
That's fair. Yeah, CIG is not
Alright.
going to share their evidence that they have on these people. That would be
and
ridiculous. And everybody's sharing their
accused
narrative now.
And the accused people will be sharing their narrative. And
Yes.
I want to be very clear here. I'm not taking a side
Yeah.
on CIG or on the guys, though I'm very supportive to them overall. Like, I feel that this situation shouldn't be even a thing to start with, and I feel bad that what happened to their accounts and all the warnings. Right?
What do you mean by not be a thing? Just go deeper into that.
That's what I'm getting to. That's
Okay.
what I'm getting to, right? So, I want to start with all the pad ramming accusations. I think the major problem is here the game mechanics, and probably you remember us talking about it.
The shield bubble.
So, yeah, I think this whole scenario comes up every now and over again, because the game developer in the first place, CIG, is for whatever reason ignoring this thing, like this concept of pad ramming, and I think CIG thinks it will just go away. People will just stop doing this because it's not going to be fun anymore. Well, this is kind of a very wrong approach. People will be doing it over and over again, constantly, and no matter how much time will pass. And like there are pretty simple solutions to that, which we've talked about and talked through previously. And it's not about changing pads to hangers, because there is a concept of hanger ramming, and there is nothing you can do with that, right? And then placing things like, oh, there will be so much like repercussions or whatever consequences to what you do. I think CIG does not realize that a person can have a group of people, like an org, who wants to either annoy someone or who are just in war. In future, let's think like things matter a bit more than they do right now, right?
Sure.
Every person in an org can have 5 accounts with Auroras, and they can log them in one after another to totally destroy the gameplay for someone else with either pad ramming or hanger ramming. And the security measures like turrets or missile launchers around the stations will never help, because those Auroras are blue. And then they will put just those Auroras on a cooldown before they become blue again, like to prison or whatever.
Yep.
Like, there is a lot of things people can work around with, and I think CIG is not thinking about that. Again, I come from an even line mentality, and I've seen a lot of shit there. right? And I think CIG relies on people being like, good guys, good players, and a good spirits, like in a good sports. It's not going to work like that.
No.
And implementing something simple like station shields, I don't want to even get into how to do it. I will not have any time for that.
We've
right?
talked about it before on the cast. So
yeah.
anytime Cutlet's been on, we've talked about this specific subject.
Yeah, it's literally even devs came up on my stream and I described them exactly how to do it, right?
Yeah.
It could just resolve this issue for like 99%.
Just to help you out, you're looking for in-game solutions to the problem, not these out-of-game player relations solutions.
TOS solutions are just lame. They should be used in very edge cases. And it's like, yeah, you can call this as an edge case.
Yeah, I'm going to pause your clock because it kind of is. Zyla was in chat earlier. It was either where Virgil was talking or while Morph was talking, and stated that only 3 people were suspended. He's not going to talk about any specifics, but 3 people out of the entire community has been suspended so far. That's it.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's an edge case.
I totally saw that. It's just this situation even comes up. They have to do it instead of just implementing the basic preventive measures. That would just bothers me. Then overall, with all this griefing and excessive killing, I feel a very wrong thing that there is. No one knows that red line. Like, CIG told us there is somewhere in the mist, in the abyss of an endless cosmos, there is a red line, but no one knows what that red line is, right? We have to guess.
I don't think there is a red line. I think it's very similar to like how Twitch handles bans, where it's situational.
Yeah, and I think it should be more definitive. I think CIG should be more definitive on that red line. Where's that red line is? Because like it's a mess. It's a total mess.
I think if you define the red line, then you, not you specifically maybe, but players will walk up to that line and tow it all day, every day, and then the line would have to be moved. I think every situation is different, and you have to look at the evidence and make the decision there. They decided on these specific 3 players. Warnings for others?
Yeah, how do I know I'm not the... okay, I never get a warning, right?
Yeah.
But how do I know I'm not going to get it tomorrow?
If you do, you should be explained at least a little bit of what you've done for the warning, but I don't think they should lay out exactly what you did wrong, because then people will toe that line. Like, you get that point of view, though, right? It's the same thing as laying out all the game mechanics on the table, so you can figure out exactly how to abuse them.
Yeah, that's my job, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what essentially I'm seeing a lot of these PvPers doing, is tell me what the line is so I can tow it, not tell me what the line is so I don't cross it. And that's why they're not telling you.
Probably. I don't know. I think my main point is a lot of things can be avoided by the basic in-game mechanics implemented to not get it out of the game. And then about the stream sniping, I'm very undecisive here, and I'm on the edge because I know this will strike me when the things... it will strike myself when the things are more important in game and like you care about stuff.
Yeah.
But I think like good points were made previously when like it depends on the stream sniping. If like like you said about XQC stuff, like if he comes in and then 100 people just smacks him constantly, that's something too bad. Overall, with some interactions, I think I don't know. I'm on the edge here, man. Like, I had my opinion, and now while I'm talking, I'm like very unconfident of what I say.
I think sniping is like a lot of it is what people say. Like, you're streaming, man. Like, what do you expect? But
yeah, exactly. That's my opinion. Like, you should be ready for stuff to happen. And I think, especially for people who claim they base their IRL income on the Twitch revenue, and they totally ignore like getting good in the game, or at least knowing the game to the extent to make precautions of that not to happen, especially if you have a full server of your people, like, yo, you know.
Yeah, but that's
it's
also not an
weird.
option for every single streamer, right? Like we're using like
Yes,
big
it is
streamers,
not. It is not.
big streamers
I agree.
as like people that can do those things. Not everybody can do that. People that are smaller are getting harassed by other people because they can't utilize that stuff. The issue comes when things are more relevant and matter, and the issue comes when if you find out that I'm on Yella or something like that and you attack me, like whatever, but the sniping can, I think the sniping has like a when it's become excessive as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't
weird
know.
thing. I'm also with you. It's really tough because I don't think
it's really tough because like
I don't think the
there-
get good or the just bring other people with you is a good argument either.
no. It's not an ultimate option. I agree. It's like I'm very on the edge here because there are companies like Blizzard and CCP which like just deal with it, right? And there are other games where it's a heavy ban, like for confirmed stream sniping. So it's like an edge case. I'm hard to comment on this. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I don't endorse any kind of stream sniping or like pad ramming as a person. But I think the measures that we're taking with the guys maybe were a bit too harsh. Overall, I think like the pad ramming is 100%. Is a CIG issue. They have to deal it with in-game stuff. Stream sniping, it's probably should be dealt like on the case-to-case basis.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Overall,
like,
what if CIG
yeah, go
can't
ahead.
deal with the pad ramming thing at the moment, though?
I don't know. Like, if they cannot implement a basic involve for ships with the like basic rule set.
Yeah, I mean, it
it's
seems
pretty
simple,
sad.
obviously.
Man, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. I don't know. Like, I think it's not that they're not able to deal with it. I think it's just
They're not
probably
prioritizing it.
not a priority, quote unquote, which is sad, right?
Yeah.
For us at least. Which
Exactly,
is sad.
and that's what I said
it's
earlier.
Like, I think in making ships involve at certain like basic triggers, like before. Like distance from the pad, the speed the ship is going, approaching, calling ATC, all that. It's not a hard task to do. No one is asking for some in-depth mechanics right now. It's just a matter of like the basic rule set. I don't think it's hard. It's not that they're not that they cannot do it. It's just the priority, and that's where it shows like they don't really care about it, and then all this drama happens, right?
Sure.
Overall, of course, the game is like. Morph covered a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Are you scared?
Like, I'm scared about what? Morph's knowledge?
No. Are you scared seeing these warnings from other people?
No, I'm not.
Yeah. I think
I'm not scared because like I never got a warning, man, and I feel what I do in my streams, it has nothing to deal with it. Like, I have my own line I've drawn for myself, and it has nothing to do with it. Like, no one will ever get me a warning for going for random miners, even if they're streamers, I think. If I'm not actually stream sniping, and just randomly headshotting them, taking their stuff, going and selling it, right? And then going on my own business, forgetting their name, I think I won't get that warning anytime soon, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a lot of the warnings and stuff have come from like the shit talk and stuff that goes too far, like I talked with Virgil after the fact. Like, you can argue whether he stream sniped or not till you're blue in the face. But
that's why I'm not arguing even about it, right?
Yeah, because it's pointless. It's the other actions that are probably where the warnings are coming from. And the whole thing about towing the line and everything, you want to find out where the line is, it's when you got the warning.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. It might be
seems
when
you're,
you got the
kinda
warning.
Right. So what?
There's
I
your
have like
line.
I have less than 2 minutes, man. I don't want to extend the timer, right? So I'll be very quick.
Okay.
Like I will repeat a bit on what Morph said. I think like the lack of content is a lot to do with this.
Yes.
Like safe spaces should be safe, right? Safe places should be safe. That's up again to game mechanics and server performance. Security system is shit. Station protection is shit. Station shields are non-existent. Station missiles are non-existent.
Are the streamers at fault?
Come again?
Are streamers crying a problem?
Streamers crying is part of the problem. Yes,
Okay.
I agree. Like again, but that goes to my argument. Get a little bit good, right? Get at least a little bit good, right? I'm not
trying.
saying get full good. Get full good. Get a little bit good, and understand what's going on with the game. You're trying to make a freaking revenue for your life. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, stop being a giveaway citizen. Start being actually a a player.
Yep.
I think you cannot be a giveaway streamer forever, right? In this game, and especially when people create scripted events and tell a community this is how piracy should be done, I just laugh on that. Sorry.
Yeah.
One more thing. I'm 10 seconds, man. One more thing. Points of interest. Points of interest. What Morph covered already. We need points of interest. We need Field of Hedonite, for example, that will give you infinite Hedonite, but you have your risk reward. You can go somewhere else, have the income you had before, but no one will ever touch you because everyone will be at the Field of Hedonite. I'm just making a stupid example. I hope caves will be something like this.
All right.
I hope the trading is gonna get fixed. We will have our slam route and all that stuff. This will help a lot. All right, I'm out of time, man. I'm gonna shut up and yeah, beep beep beep.
Listen in for a minute because I have a cool idea that I want to share with you. Okay. I'll leave you on the line. The idea that I had was I'll quickly share this before we go to the next caller. What is the one thing that is in the game that PvPers need? There's only one item in the game that PvPers need. It's not really an item. It's a thing that's in the game, an entity. What is that? That thing is merits. There's only one thing, merits. Because when you engage in PvP, you end up in prison. In some way or another, you need merits. So my thing that I think they should do is this is very gamified, so it's sort of against what Morph wanted. Very, very gamified. But this is the only way I can think of it. A King of the Hill style content where just to be clear, with the idea of the merit farming and all these exploits that exist now have to be closed for this to work. Okay? King of the Hill style gameplay, you take over, let's use Korea or another station that deals with the merit system. And while you're hacking it, you are the king of that hill, and other PvP orgs want to be king of that hill because it's the easiest way to get merits, right? That's kind of what I was thinking of in a very short, simple way of doing it. Maybe the kills that you get while controlling it gives you more merits, so on and so forth. Taking it over, bonus merits, that kind of thing. That's sort of what I was thinking of for something like that, because it creates a scenario where PvPers and PvPers come together, best on best, right? That's something I think is really important. I'm not talking about Jumptown, because Jumptown is casual players who want to make money drug hauling, and then PvPers attacking them. This is best on best, which is different. Yeah, like a Jumptown, but for PvPers only. And then,
there is a flaw in that. There is
of course, there's tons
and I'm
of
not
flaws.
talking about the lore. I'm not talking about the lore flaw. There is a major flaw there that you will reward a most powerful org with even more mayhem they can cause in the verse without putting consequences on them. So you kind of reward them with merits.
But then nobody else has the merits, and then other orgs have to group together to stop the mayhem.
I don't know, man. I'm very not sure about that.
Think about it. I'm putting you in the dump. I'm putting you in the dump.
Dump me.
Think about it
now. Quick,
Think about
spam.
it. Okay.
Dump me.
I'm dumping him. He's dumped. All right, I love him, but I had to dump him because I know me and him can talk about that forever, and me and him will talk about that on voice together. All right, our next caller is Goloith. So, Goloith, am I saying your name right? Goloith, right?
Yeah, you're saying my name right.
Okay, perfect.
Goloith, yeah, or you can just Golo.
Awesome. So I got your cam up. Let's bring you up there. Welcome to the show. You've been hearing everybody, so you feel free to respond to anybody else or just share your thoughts on this. Let me change your name up.
So, so I would say that probably when it comes to player, conduct, stuff like that, I think CIG, what really is kind of bothering them, at least from what I can see, it's this. You've got people that they're fighting on a server, and then they're going out of their way to hop on another server, same
Yes.
player on there. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the concern here.
Yes.
That's kind of where the harassment's coming from, I think. But, I think at the end of the day, a lot of these problems are kind of self-induced problems, caused by CIG. I think a lot of people have talked about this, but the PvP community, it really has kind of been put on the back burner. We didn't have any type of real intended gameplay participation within Xenothread. We were the side hustle. Instead of potentially adding something for PvP players, at the Xenothread, they're like, oh, we'll just extend the comm array, right? So now we're ruining people's events there. We're griefing them at the objective, and there's just so many things CIG can do to make it so that we're not just fighting for scraps. Camping that station, camping around an armistice zone. So that's kind of where I probably am going to head, if that's all right.
That's I think a great place to go. I think that is the single biggest problem. I don't think it's the people being suspended or the people that might be considered like crying stream sniping when it's not really happening, which a lot of the narrative is those two things and not the actual issue, which is what I think you're bringing up.
Okay. Yeah. So just to kind of talk a little bit about this, one of the big problems I see within Stanton, right? It's a high sec system.
Yeah.
And, even though we're supposed to have 100 systems, it's a big server for 40 players. And I get that they're working on server meshing and stuff like that. But one of the big problems is being able to find people within Stanton. And, one of the things they could do, I think, would be fairly simple. You hack a comm array. It gives everybody's location within that sphere of influence.
Mhm.
Maybe it's Crusader. Maybe it's around Daymar. And then, if they either leave a guy there to keep clicking the timer so that we can find people because it's just right now it's okay. Let's go down to the old Shubin or let's go over to Everest and just camp, because part of the problem is just finding people. And we're actually seeing some really interesting gameplay happening from a bug. And SaltEMike, you might have seen this bug. It's the call glitch, right? You call somebody and it gives you their marker and you can find them. People are doing it. PvPers are doing it because Stanton is huge and it allows people to have PvP that's not just in one location. So it'd be really cool. There's a saying, do things their way, your way. CIG could do that. They could have, you hacked that comm array, you had to defend the comm array. Everybody knows the comm array comes off in the upper right-hand corner. You know that, somebody's looking for you. You know what I mean? So be on your toes. Like, that's something they could work on. And like I said, we're dealing with a system that it's a high sec, and this kind of goes.
People
and
are
I'm not
saying
trying
it's
to go
low
derail
sec,
too.
though. Like, it's not actually high sec in lore.
It's from what I've heard, it's high sec.
Like in the
least
term,
from-
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. We don't know what sec we really have yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think one of the things we have to think about is it kind of goes back to a flight model issue, right? We've created a flight model, at least up to this point, where anybody can run. And there's cool things, we could have these points of interest, like Morph has talked about, like Cutlet has talked about. But if we can't tackle them, if we can't force them to slow down, they've got a Mantis. The Mantis is a great ship, except for it's got no HP. It's got a tiny little snare. It's got a tiny, we have built everything to be SCM plus, right? So we're constantly chasing Buddy. So even if we do get those points of interest, they can just fly away and be gone. So we got to create a system that allows people to slow down. We can actually have good combat without them flying out of range and being gone. Like EVE Online has done such a great job of this, right? So what happens, right? People take the path of least resistance, they fly off, and now PvPers are like, okay, I'm just going to go back to Everest. I'm going to go back to Olisar. They're just going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, do you think the things that they're addressing, like that they say they're going to try to address, like using the capacitor thing is going to help with this. I mean, I don't think this is going to stop people from griefing, right? I think part of the griefing absolutely comes out of the fact that PvPers just aren't getting the support that they probably deserve. I know we touched on a little bit, but do you have any more you want to add to just that fact?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things that they're working on. I know there's, I mean, ICT, what do you call it? The group that, from CIG that's working on stuff. I think they'll get there. Yeah, the vehicle experience team. They'll get there, but it's just one of those things that we really just need a way of forcing combat, right? There's just no way of forcing that, and you're going to see bad activity. One of the things that actually gets me is the players that are. You'll be camping somebody. Let's say, for example, I'm camping, and I've talked to Virgil about this. I see this whole people pad ramming thing as a criminal PvPer. There's so many times I've seen the armistice zone used actually as a launch pad for a ram. So if I'm outside of Shubin, that person's sitting on the edge of armistice, and just because there's so much desync in the PU, they will ram you. And not only that, they get rewarded for it. They get to send you to prison.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like you have the people that aren't good enough to dogfight, or if they are dogfighting, they died 2, 3, 4 times. Now they're rewarded by sending you to prison. Like, that stuff has got to stop too. If we're saying ramming is not okay on a pad, you can't be launching a ram from an armistice zone and be sending people to prison. Like, if you die, you lose call to arms and you lose your bounty. Right now, I think you lose your bounty, but you don't lose call to arms. They just need to remove both, right? You die. You clearly did not win the fight. And on top of that, there are, ways that they can improve this. Like, so Cutlass talked about these space bubbles, whatever. In Star Marine, you actually have a spawn invuln timer, right? If you just spawned, you cannot be hit or hurt for like a few seconds.
But you can do that. Shoot.
And you can shoot them, but they're invulnerable for a few seconds. So I don't know how hard it would be to take that system and apply it to a ship, if that's such a big problem.
Yeah, and then it would just be like the visual of the shield around it, just to let you know, or something.
Yeah, I mean, ships would collide together and, nothing would happen. Like, we already have this in Star Marine. So, I think there's ways to address this. But ultimately, there's just a lot of things that CIG can do to shape combat in a way that isn't just so we're killing the same people over and over, right? Like, if it was spread out, and obviously things like server meshing is going to help, right? We're not going to have the same interactions that we normally would have, but still, there's still the design, I would say, of combat is just very PvE friendly. And it just, sometimes I would rather, personally, and this is just me, I would rather be able to fly down to a planet and tackle somebody, and I would rather have a bunch of NPCs spawn around him to protect him than to have what we have now, where they can just fly away. Right. Yeah. I want that challenge. And you know what? Maybe it means giving a prospector something like a medium shield so they can survive. They're not getting blapped in 2 seconds like they are now.
Yeah.
But I want a challenge. I don't want, you see me, you're gone. That's an interaction. So
let's touch on that for a little while. I think a lot of people get when you are camping, you get blamed for seal club. I hear the word seal clubbing all the time. Clubbing. Right? Like getting that label on you. But I think most players that involve themselves in PvP want a challenge. Touch on that a little bit more. And the other thing, if you can, is the just the general response from CIG and how is that going to change the way you're going to play? Do you feel uncomfortable? And like maybe even touch on like what you do on a general. I guess you kind of have, but yeah. I'm giving you too many questions. I think, go ahead.
It's all good. I mean, for the most part, this hasn't affected me a whole lot, but it possibly could, right? I mean, there's that possibility of people say, "Oh, Golo's calling me" or whatever. Yeah. It's just one of those things that, it certainly could. But I think the point is that they just need to, from a developer standpoint, just understand that sometimes trying to fight the system, fight what people are doing, instead of trying to enhance it, can make things worse, right? Like I said, we went to that back to Xeno threat. They put the camera. It had the opposite effect, right? Instead of everybody being at the box, allowing the PvEers to group up at Jericho, group up at the rest stop before going in as one big, blob to attack the pirates, the PvPers. They put the comm array there, and then next thing you know, now the PvPers are at Jericho, they're at the rest stop, and they're at the box place. So they have the PvE players have no way of grouping up. I mean, it completely backfired. So when you really put a lot of emphasis into PvP and understand that they're part of the community too, it actually lessens the extremes, like we see here, right?
Yeah.
The griefing of people on pads, the stream sniping. People just want content. That's what we want. That's why people like Virgil go. Or I not even a single amount, but anybody, I should say, that says, oh, somebody's streaming, let's go hop on their server, right? They just want content. They want to have fun. Like Morphologis said, there's not a whole lot to do. So
yeah, I think I don't know, like I don't think it's okay to be like, oh, somebody's streaming, let's go to their server, but at the same time, like how do you stop that stuff? Like, it's so silly to even think that you could stop that. And I just think, and I want to touch on this with you, is creating PvP for yourself it can't only be a CIG problem. I think it largely is, but do you think the way that players tend to be going about it now could be done differently, better? I think the way they're going about it now, it's very similar to the way CIG's designed the game, where they'll go, okay, we think this is what's going to happen, like putting the Armistice Zone or the comm array at the box area. Well, I thought it was a decent idea because if I actually do kill you and you're a pirate, then you get sent to prison. There's your punishment. But then now you mentioned these other consequences that we never thought of. I think the players that are attacking like a streamer or the streamer's org thinking that the response is going to be like fun for them, it tends to not be, because you're playing the game the way you want to, but usually those streamers are not involving themselves in that same style of gameplay, so the response is never going to be similar, right? It's not going to be similar to the attack. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've done some streaming, on YouTube for a while. But, I just think, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure on that, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough because like
it's tough. It is.
It's not easy to be in your position where that's what you're looking for. I'm like, think on it as much as you can. I'm sure you have for hours upon hours upon hours. My just argument is that the way you're trying to create it is never going to create it. It's like what players are doing to themselves, I think, is creating a rift between everything and not like basically avoiding fun for everybody. It might be fun for you in the moment to dunk on somebody, but it's not going to create a scenario where you're actually going to engage that much. But I think sometimes, like Virgil said, he did get that response and it was awesome. So it's like, it's tough.
So yeah,
it's choosing the right battle, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do understand that, sometimes I think what a lot of us PvPers really want, right? We like to do a little bit of smack talk here and there, but we leave it in the PU, right? It doesn't get carried outside of the PU. And I think that's what really gets a lot of people up, is there's this whole other political thing outside of the game. And I think that just kind of makes the whole, and to be honest with you, I'm terrible at the political game. But at the same time, it's just, I just want to play the game, and I know other people want to do that. For example, Berks and I, we had a few good fights the other day on stream. I was in my Vanguard, got my wings clipped pretty quick, tried to bail out, went to prison, came back, and me and him had two awesome, fights, Talon versus Banu. And it's just like, you can have these things. I think you can shit talk, get the server riled up, and then once you have the fight, good fight, because that's what gets people excited, to go out. If you're constantly just shitting on them after you've smoked them, they're just gonna, turn off, and it's just gonna go downhill from there. I think sometimes it's good to say, hey, good fight,
Sure. You got 30 seconds left, so feel free.
Yeah, I
Got
mean,
anything
other than
else?
that, like I said, I think there's a lot of onus on CIG to obviously make sure they are explaining what is what is a strikeable offense, what is a bannable offense, and just lay it out there, right? Okay, harassment. Describe harassment. Is harassment going server to server looking for somebody? Like, give some concrete examples. I'm not, obviously you can leave it open ended, but give us some concrete examples of what harassment is.
Yeah. I would argue, just as we're ending here, I think one thing for sure, to go back on the point that I just made for you a few minutes ago, or we're just discussing, is that if you attack somebody and you don't get the response that you want, and they get upset, and then the response from the PvPer, let's just put them in a box and say the PvPer for a second. I don't like doing that, but yes.
Yep.
If the response from them is to continue to attack and attack and attack, and it's not returned, that feels like harassment to me. But
yeah, I definitely can.
At the same time, it's like an open game where you're allowed to. So I can see why PvPers are asking for the, hey, where's the line there? Because is that considered something that's harassing? Because, like, hey, man, one of the examples that Virgil gave was one of the guys who attacked me and did not snipe, definitely did not snipe, was that they don't have many people to fight. So we're probably going to butt heads against each other from forever, right? But if we do, is that harassment? If I don't want to be attacked by them? Probably not. So it's like it's a very weird thing.
I mean, at the end of the day, we have a button. It's called, exit to menu. Like if that is how you don't want to butt heads, you can obviously do that. You can flip servers. There's stuff like you can do if you don't want that interaction, and then it kind of goes from there, right? Okay, you
that
left.
goes both ways, though.
Are they clear? It does, right? Obviously, I think sometimes it's good to have those fights, right? Just hash it out, have fun. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if you feel like you're running into those people and they just, like, I hate to say it, people have the option to leave the server. They really don't want that interaction. So.
All right. I just made the sound happen because I had it muted, because if they spam emotes, it makes sounds and I can't stop that from happening. And they did it earlier. Thank you, Goloith. I appreciate your conversation. I appreciate your thoughts. Problem. And thank you for coming on, man. I really enjoyed it. All right, our next caller is Moist Noodle. So there they go again. They know. They're trying to do it. And I'm turning it on only for a second to get the sound to come on. So these guys, they're trolling now. They're trolling me. Moist, they're trolling me. Oh, these guys are the worst. Man. Yep. So, all right, let's start your timer. I got your cam up. You're ready to go.
I've made notes and everything. I'm good to go.
We've made notes. That's what I'm talking about. Come prepared.
I warn you, my first couple of points are a little bit disjointed, but I will get onto a flow. All right.
No problem.
First of all, the email. One of the major issues that I had with the email, it wasn't necessarily the bad verbiage. It was just the lack of details, right? So I know that a little bit earlier, Morph mentioned that you don't want to necessarily draw the line in the sand too much, because people will find the point that they can essentially stand at to abuse that, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you can't learn from a mistake that you don't know that you've made, right?
Yeah.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, if somebody is regularly pad ramming, obviously CIG wants to try and protect the people who do the reporting, but you're not going to get a warning or a ban for a single pad ram, right? So if you're receiving a warning email because you're pad ramming regularly, then just give details in the actual email. It can't be a generic template, right? Otherwise, nobody's ever going to learn from that.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's why everybody's scared.
Yeah, absolutely. It just felt way too generic. The next point I wanted to mention as well, and this is something that I think not enough people really think about, is that Star Citizen fundamentally has a difference of culture with the types of people who play the game. There are different types of people who got into Star Citizen for different reasons,
At
right?
different
You got-
times. Yeah, like
exactly.
everything.
There are some people who got into Star Citizen because of Wing Commander. That was a single player experience, and that crowd tends to be a little older. You get people like myself, Virgil, other people who got in because of EVE Online, and those are, again, fundamentally two very different games, right? And I think what that's ultimately done is you have one segment, and obviously there are other people who have got in for other reasons, but I think what we've ultimately ended up with is a bit of a disjointed community of groups who, you've got one group who kind of wants one thing from the game, and you've got another group who wants something else, right? So this is where it's going to start to flow. So I wanted to share my opinion on stream sniping, because
Before you do, did you get a warning or anything? Just figured we'd be
I did not,
transparent
and
about that.
as soon as I saw Virgil's tweet, I immediately went to my email, because the support page on the RSI website doesn't work for me. I literally can't log into it. It just keeps looping back. So
Okay.
I assume that I didn't, because I didn't get an email.
Okay.
But generally, when it comes to stream sniping, obviously I'm a full-time Star Citizen streamer. And before you started the podcast, you put your hands up and you said you had been guilty of accusing of people of stream sniping.
100%. It's the first thing that comes to my mind. Every death that is a little fishy.
Yeah, and I think at some point, every streamer kind of gets that through their head, right?
Yeah, it's
And
like
I had a
PTSD.
scenario. Yeah, I had a scenario with Shadow Moses a couple of weeks ago where I accused them of stream sniping. Whether they did or didn't, I don't know. The fact of the matter is, I'm human, right? And
Yeah.
that particular week, I had a really, really bad week, right? And you have to bear that in mind.
Yeah.
So, is it right to accuse people of stream sniping? I don't think so. I think you generally have to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Me too.
I've been accused, despite being a full-time streamer, I've been accused of stream sniping, and I've been accused of stream sniping while streaming, right?
Oh, God.
It's and even actually by somebody who was at the time in my stream team, when the fact of the matter was, I just happened to be above the moon. I looked down and I saw headlights, right?
Yeah.
Now, 9 times out of 10, I don't even look at the name of the person I'm attacking, right? So I wasn't even aware of who I attacked. So yeah, it's the problem is, where is the line, right? I get that CIG need to be careful and they need to be slightly vague, but CIG haven't done a great job of setting expectations, right? And you even brought up a couple of posts, a couple of videos earlier. The Calling All Dev episode with Todd Pappy, right? Where he, and I'm paraphrasing when I say this, he says, we don't think players should ever be 100% safe. Well, you got people like myself who come from the EVE Online background who are like, yes, that's what we want to hear, right? But then
there's the CR clip.
Then a CR clip, right? Where, and again, I'm paraphrasing, it says, not everyone's good at PvP. Where there's a winner, there's always a loser. And we want the people who aren't good at PvP to feel like heroes too, right? Which is, you're getting such mixed messaging from that. Now,
yeah,
I've been talking, like everybody else, I've been talking to Xylo as well, and he gave me permission to share something that he said to me this morning, because a year ago, he made a post on Spectrum.
Yes.
And
we
I
haven't touched
really,
this yet.
yeah, and I really praised him at the time for making that post, because it was actually, I think, the first time CIG properly talked about their opinion when it comes to PvP and what is and isn't acceptable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what he did today was he just kind of reminded me of that opinion. So, and this is an exact quote. Earlier on in our conversation, I said, right now I try not to target the same player over and over unless they come at me. To which he responded saying, there's nothing wrong with targeting the same player over and over. If you run into them, grab their bounty, etc., that's fair game. PvP happens, and we're not here to protect folks from getting killed. We're extremely lenient and only get involved when it truly becomes harassment, which can involve things like stream sniping, exploits, pad ramming, third-party advantages, etc. And even then, if someone is pad ramming, we're still likely to be hands-off. I used the words excessive very intentionally when I wrote that post a year ago. And I do believe that that is their intention, right?
Sure.
So I think if people are receiving warnings and receiving bans, there are reasons for that.
Sure.
That said, we still have this issue in that they are not setting great expectations, right? Something that Disco Lando says every single week on Star Citizen Live, and it's one of the very first things that he says, because every show is someone's first show, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to remember that there is constantly a flow of new people coming into Star Citizen. And I think it's unfair, and that includes people who PvP, right? And I think it's unfair to expect people to delve into the history of every post and every Spectrum post from
Especially
a dev.
when they're on Spectrum. It's so hard.
It's awful. The search function is awful. And expect them to find those sorts of posts. Realistically, I think we need an official policy somewhere that is easy to find, that people can quote to people. And something that I would really appreciate seeing more is some love from CIG in terms of the video content when it comes to PvP, because it's very, very rare to hear CIG ever really talking about PvP. My final point is really, it comes down to what Morpologis was talking about.
Okay.
A lot of people, there is a segment of the community that doesn't necessarily like me, and that's because they see me as a griefer. And they don't like the fact that, for example, right now, I spend most of my time sat camping Port Olisar. But whose fault is that? Ultimately, I got into Star Citizen quite early, but I really got into Star Citizen and playing it every day in 3.4. And it was when we had Jumptown. I'm sorry to bring it up again. I know others have mentioned it, but when Jumptown was in the game, it was fantastic. And it was a little bit of madness that got me into PvP. He kind of taught me the basics of what I needed to do. And that was such an incredible experience for me. And the next patch, it was gone. And I had to try and find that fun somewhere else. And over time, it kind of feels like it's got worse and worse. Now, I know there are some people who might not particularly enjoy PvP sat there thinking, well, it's not all about the PvPers. But if you have gameplay like Jumptown in the game, it benefits everyone, because essentially what it does is it pulls the PvPers away from camping Port Olisar, camping Everest Harbor, you know. We really, and to be fair, Xenothreat, although Xenothreat was not a PvP event, it was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. Ultimately, the issue is, and again, I mentioned it to Morph when I talked to him at like 6 a.m. this morning. I had a call with him. This universe, or this one system that we have right now, is so large, it's incredibly difficult to find anyone. And we have no way to openly scan people. For shits and giggles last night, I took my ult out and I decided to try and be a bounty hunter. I spent 4 hours pretty much non-stop quantuming around Stanton, and in that entire time, I managed to actually shoot one person. I shot them for about 5 seconds and they quantum jumped away.
Yeah.
That's so again, it comes back, and ultimately I ended up with a crime stat anyway and ended up camping Port Olisar again.
And yeah, I mean, the big thing here is what I keep bringing up is it just doesn't seem like prioritization is at all on any sort of PvP elements. Like very, very little.
No.
And
no, exactly.
The best thing you got was like this really thrown together Vandal Mask event, and that was it.
I will say now, the Vandal Mask event was incredible because, yeah, there were a lot of people that cheesed it. That's if they wanted to cheese it, that's entirely down to them.
Like myself, that found out that they enjoyed PvP.
Yeah. So many people got into PvP with the Vandal Mask event and they stuck around and they are still PvPing now. And that is awesome, you know. At the end of the day, you can't blame people for trying to find gameplay where there was once gameplay and that gameplay is no longer there anymore, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pause you real quick because I want to say a little something here. The fact that a PvPer kills another player and ruins their fun is a thing, right? So you're breaking their gameplay. Their gameplay loop breaks. When CIG doesn't offer any gameplay loop at all for a PvPer, that's problematic as well. I mean, that is a big issue, right?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, like I said, the incredible thing about Jumptown was, and I'm not saying that I necessarily want Jumptown back, but if they threw us a bone, right, and they gave us something, it would stop us. It wouldn't stop everybody. You'll always get some people, like, you know, maybe I shouldn't name people, but you'll always get some people who there is a very small percentage of PvPers, I think, who enjoy actually trying to upset people, and those are the people who should be getting the warnings, right?
But even then, like, it depends on how they go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But that's where the harassment kind of, and that's what I'm talking about, right? That's the sort of behavior that I'm talking about, the harassment.
What does that one thing look like? Unless you have something else you want to share.
What, as in gameplay?
Yeah, what would it look like to you?
I'll be honest with you, I really, you know, I was having the conversation with Morph this morning, and that's where we kind of came up with the idea of, or Morph came up with the idea of having that heat map on the actual map, right? Yeah. And I genuinely think that would be incredible, because if I'm camped at Port Olisar, right, and I'm causing mischief, then even criminals, right, people who can't, because right now only bounty hunters can pick up bounties. People who are criminals, which are quite a lot of PvPers, they can't see where I'm at, right? Yeah. So having a heat map just to see where there is actually action in the stanza system, I think would be freaking awesome. But the one last thing that I really want to say before I run out of time is being reactionary is not the solution, right? Warning people is not the solution. I really, you know, again, when I was talking to Morph this morning, we were talking about, you know, armistice zones and things like that. And I was thinking about ways to stop myself from just camping at Port Olisar. You know, shove missile batteries on the thing, give it shields, etc. And then I thought to myself, no, because that's still being reactionary. If I had the gameplay in the first place, I wouldn't be camped at Port Olisar. Just throw us a bone, give us something to do, and we most likely wouldn't be nuking and seal clubbing, you know? Yeah. Thank you for listening to my TED talk.
No problem. All right. You finished like immediately perfectly on time. I tried to get the sound to pop up, but it didn't.
Dude, I can't, like, I stuck to my notes so well.
That was amazing.
I have ADHD. I'm impressed with myself.
I'm giving you bonus time right now because you did so good. Claps in chat. Listen, guys, claps in chat. I'll even let the claps play. I'll even let the sound play for chat. Claps in chat, guys. All right. Moist, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Cheers, bud. All right. Acidrom is next. Acid, what's up? Do you want a cam on or no?
I don't even have one.
Perfect. All right, we'll get you in here in 1 second. I just got to double click on your screen. There we go. Nope. There we go. All right. Your timer, let me start it up again, has started. So tell us a little about yourself, because Virgil brought you into the conversation with me. I actually don't know you very well. So some people said you're a pillar. I saw that in chat. Tell me a little bit about yourself before you get started.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I've co-run an org called the Unforgivables. We've
Cool.
been in
yeah,
PvP.
I'm not in the PvP scene, so I apologize for not knowing you.
Yeah, no problem. We've been PvPing a long time, since Jumptown, and we're just, kind of confused by this whole issue. Where the line is drawn. We kind of take a different shtick, we kind of play the religious, terrorists. We go to ports and we say, we're in the dark, in the name of the Dark Lord Pico, give us your money or your soul,
hey,
things like that.
PKRP is RP too, okay?
Right. So, we do stuff like that, and if they pay us or say, oh, blah, 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 I swear my soul to the Dark Lord Pico, we let them go.
Yeah.
Otherwise they get killed, they get PvP'd. We get a lot of hate and vitriol, just like the rest of the PvP community, for doing stuff like that. The normal stuff, the racial slurs, that kind of stuff. But we kind of just let it slide and move on. But our main concern is just the clarification of the rules and the way that CIG is communicating them. So we all already knew pad ramming is a no-no, right? Okay, we don't pad ram.
Okay.
This whole pad ramming and armistice thing, obviously, we're like, okay, so is that a rule now? Can we not pad ram an armistice? Can we not shoot an armistice? Because recently they gave us the ability to do that. So can we or can we not shoot ships on the pad? Is it just a jerk move, or is it banned by TOS? Those are some of our concerns.
I think that's a very good, obviously I think anytime you smash your ship into another ship on purpose, it's a dick move and shouldn't be done. But I think you bring up a really good point with okay, guy over here I don't like for whatever reason. Maybe said something about me on his stream. Maybe I don't like his name. It doesn't matter. Spawned the ship at Everus Harbor. He hasn't gotten to it yet. I blow it up. He spawned it again. I blow it up. At what point, is the first time allowed? Now I do see the argument for yo, where's the line, dude? Because you allowed this. So I see it. If I could shoot at that ship while it's on the pad, what? It's actually not a bug. Somebody said that in chat. It's actually not a bug. It's just you can shoot an armistice at these stations. What do you do?
And it's the same thing. Okay, so they say we can't ram an armistice, right? So let's say we can't ram.
Yeah.
So someone takes off from the pad, I shoot them. What if they ram me?
Yeah.
Are they now against TOS? Where's the line at? We just don't know.
I think blue players ram too, yet it does seem like red players are getting rammed a little bit. Sorry guys for the robotic sound. I don't know what's been going. That's been the last couple of days. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I mean the main thing is the confusion. Where's that line? Where is it drawn? What do we do? At this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the confusion and the anxiety is stemming from.
Yeah, sure. Where do you think the line is? This is something I haven't asked anybody who enacts in PvP. I think it's pretty obvious, somewhat. Don't ram on purpose. When I think a lot of rams are happening because of desync. I don't know how to fly. I've rammed 5 times in the last 2 days because I'm getting used to pedals and things like this. I've smashed into things that I don't want to by accident. I'm sure it pissed somebody off though, right? So where do you think the line is? And I am putting you on the spot that I haven't put anybody else on, and I apologize for that, but it just kind of came in my head.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, right now the line was for me in my org pad ramming.
Okay.
We don't pad ram, or we did. Now recently, of course, in the past day or two, it seems that it's changed, and or we didn't understand the rules enough to where now it's ramming in armistice zones. So we have before, every now and then we'd ram someone in an armistice zone. Yeah, admit it, of course. Now we're not doing that anymore. Okay. So at this point now, it is ramming and armistice zones. We'll still shoot ships on pads when somebody gets in, because our whole, like I said, our whole shtick is souls for Pico. So killing a ship on the pad doesn't do anything. There's no soul in that ship.
No soul for you.
So you have to harvest the souls. So we get the soul pad. At this point now, we're kind of waiting until they take right off from the pad, just in case that line is shooting them on the pad. Mm-hmm. So we'll wait till they take off, shoot them right as they take off or right as they come off, and then but we don't know right where it is. It'd be nice if we knew.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely see that argument there. What do you think about the idea of? Have you been accused of stream sniping before? What are your experiences with that? Have you?
Yes.
So tell me about it.
There was a situation where we were.
You don't have to name names, obviously.
No, yeah, I'm not. We were having a battle with a streamer.
Uh-huh.
And this streamer, we actually had a pretty good battle with him and his crew. He was on a hammerhead. We were distant fighters, fighting around. And we actually he came back and had to repair, and we actually were able to sneak someone on board his hammerhead.
Okay.
At this point, we didn't even know he was a streamer. We didn't have any clue. We were just, it was just normal gameplay.
Okay.
And once the hammerhead took back off and cloned away, obviously we had he went up and he killed the pilot, who was the streamer, who happened to be the streamer, and we didn't even know this at the time at all. After that, his crew came in and killed our guy who had gotten on the hammerhead. So.
Only one soul for Pico. That's disappointing.
Right, only one soul for Pico. Unfortunately, he couldn't. Yeah. He tried to self-destruct the ship, but the guys were able to stop the self-destruction.
Gotcha.
Etc. So everybody, obviously, they lost control of the ship somehow, mm-hmm. And our guy went back to Everest because they were in a no comm zone. He didn't get a crime stat, so okay. went back to Everest. Those guys went back to Everest, and so we assumed, okay, we see all these guys at the terminals. So we just assumed they suicided. So we said in chat, "Oh, we got you guys suicided." So at that point, the streamer assumed we were stream sniping because they had suicided and accused us of it.
Yep.
And things escalated from there. But yeah, and things like that happen. Every now 2 or 3 times since then, things like that happen. But and before that as well. But things like that. And we were like, we don't even know who you are, guy. That's the way that one happened.
Yeah, I think that's like a big thing with. I could see why he would think it was sniping, but the whole thing is even if you were sniping, like they're at like a major location, right? Like there's so many scenarios where the advantage you get isn't that large from doing it, right? So it's kind of just like it doesn't. I just don't get stream sniping as this like horrendous, horrible, bannable offense in most scenarios. So
it's kind of boring,
like it's not a challenge.
It's not a challenge. Where somebody is all the time, blah blah. I mean, that's just not fun to me. You have to hunt somebody, or if somebody comes in organic. Much more fun if somebody comes in organically and you do it. If they happen to be streaming, we don't know that.
If you're sniping and doing that, it's because it's personal, and you or the streamer has made it personal, and you or the streamer has maintained that personal beef. And that's something that is beyond the game, and maybe that's when the warnings should be a thing. But if you're just metagaming and making a game for yourself, I think it's fine until you start hopping servers. I think maybe then it starts getting a little bit weird. I don't know. I think we're just kind of discussing what the line might be, and it just gets weird there.
We kind of need a little more direction on that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I get where CIG is coming from, and I assume you do too, where they don't want to give the exact direction. So, again, I'll ask you. I'm not going to ask you like where you think the line is because we already done that. But what do you want to hear? What do you want to see from them? What do you want to hear from them?
It's like to hear a real statement. Just hey, you know, this is okay. Ramming in armistice zones is against the TOS. Okay, great. Ramming in armistice zones, we won't do that anymore. That's, you know, or we're going to put next patch. You know, we're gonna figure this out. The turrets aren't good enough to protect players. We're going to go ahead and put armistice. Yeah, right. Which we all know they aren't. You know, PvPers avoid all the turrets. The turrets are trash. We all know that. Okay, then take out armistice, take out being able to fire in armistice zones for now. If you don't want players dying in armistice zones, take it out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like that because that's kind of our shtick, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Like somebody in chat said hit scan turrets, but it's just like one of those it has to build up to that. Right.
Hit scan turrets. How about replacing the turrets with guns that don't have damage fall off after 600 meters? I mean, we've got attritions on all these turrets, all these size 4 turrets.
Which are literally bad.
Yeah, the worst lasers you could possibly have. How about putting some, you know, rhinos or something on there?
Yeah. Xylo in chat said, one thing I'll say is I have a giant document of feedback to go over with the development team.
That's a good thing. We like to hear that.
That's the
Absolutely.
point. And it's, I don't think it's just the development team. I think it's the community team and the player. I forgot the name of the team that did the email, right? And how they handle stuff, right? It was I think there's some issues there and how to handle players in the future, because the big thing is for me and the thing I really want to champion is that, yes, Virgil, I'll name a name, and other people in other orgs and things like that have some responsibility that they made mistakes, did things that they shouldn't do. I maybe not made mistakes, because mistakes means that they like might not do it again, right? They're doing things that are inappropriate, and the arguments on coming from the players like myself who are more casual are pointing a lot of fingers at them, but they're not pointing any fingers at themselves. And like, how do you feel about that? I think I see a lot of finger pointing at just people like yourself, and there's a lot of hate and nastiness.
I think if they allow it,
going towards.
I think if they allow it in the game, if they allow it in the game, then the devs need to fix it. If they don't want it happening in the game, they need to fix it.
Have you ever been called something inappropriate in game in general?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely. My whole organization has, absolutely. And you know, we usually respond. You know? We usually, I know, I agree. But we usually just respond with, you know, Pico lives for your sins, or, you know, just silly stuff, because you know, we just kind of try to de-escalate it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I feel like some of the warnings and bans are due to that kind of stuff, is the post-fight drama, not necessarily the actual fight. And it only seems to be one-sided when it comes to that, which is a little dangerous. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add? We're coming up to the 1 minute mark.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Awesome, man. I'll throw you in the dump. Thank you, Acid. I appreciate it, man. All right, our next caller is CaptainBerks. So let's bring on Berks. Yo, man, what's up?
Yo, what's going on?
Same old. You can cam on if you want, or no. Just let me know so I know when to double click.
I can cam on. So give me a second.
You're good.
It might break like last time. Okay, I'm not gonna touch my mouse. Hopefully it doesn't do what
true.
it did last time.
Oh, true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I still don't know what's going on with that.
No, I don't know either. They're spamming in chat. Jesus Christ. Let me change your name.
I can't see chat, boys. I'm sorry.
Oh, they're just spamming you.
Wait, let me see if I can pull it up.
Like an ASCII of you like this.
I'm honored. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Only the best get ASCIIs here. So you deserve it. Now let me tell you, I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this stuff.
Okay, let me pull up my notes.
Oh,
got
he's
notes.
got notes too. I love that
Okay.
people came with notes. Oh, you're Captain.
Well, you know, 15 minutes. I want to be responsible with my time.
Of course.
So, you know, I just want to say that, like, at the end of the day, whatever people are talking about here, I think everyone here just wants the best game for everyone. At least I do, right?
I think that's the problem is they don't. I think they want the best game for themselves. And I
Well,
think that in lies the problem.
I think everyone has good intentions behind what they're trying to say. Okay, is what I'll say.
Okay.
And you know, I feel like I personally have a responsibility to the community as someone who one of many, okay, I'm not the only one of many of the PvP streamers and people who you know, engage in this. So whenever I first initially heard about like the email going out, obviously the response that I got was, or the response that I had was, you know, was reactionary. And you guys were talking about reactionary is bad, but you know, I'm glad that at least we got clarity from this. You know, there is clarity going out, and you know, CIG made some changes to their wordings and stuff.
Yep.
Because let me say something before anyone else goes any forward. There are a lot of people who are feeling very validated by these emails. They're like, you guys get what you deserve, you damn PvPers. Yep. You know, you guys aren't like, that's what you get for ruining our game. Let me tell you guys something. CIG is not against PvP in any sort. This is the thing I'm hearing from CIG. They're not against PvP in any sort. These emails, this is why I was concerned. Okay. This is why I was concerned, was because the emails going out said excessive player killing. Okay. Excessive player killing is not something that needs to be regulated by CIG. That's a bad thing. If I kill someone once, twice, 5 times, 10 times, I don't think that that's something that CIG needs to say, okay, hey, listen, you've killed this guy too many times now. You need to ease up. I think that there are a lot of solutions. I didn't get an email.
Okay.
And part of the reason why I didn't get an email is because the emails that ended up going out, I'm being told, are for harassment. And a lot of that is in global. A lot of that is, you know, pad ramming. And, you know, I'll say that for example, something that I've always been iffy on is, there's something that I've always been iffy on, for example, is like pad ramming and armistice zone. Is it allowed? Is it not? And I'm glad I got clarity through this, because it's being said that it's not allowed.
Yeah.
And something that you said
pad ramming,
earlier.
Period. It should never be allowed, but yeah.
Pad ramming?
Yeah, like I don't know a scenario.
Yeah, pad
where
ramming
it should
shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
But ramming an armistice zone, like they're hovering in armistice zone. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Like,
because it's
is
not
that different? Because here's the deal: if I'm fighting someone at Shubin on Daymar, right, and I'm bounty hunting them, or maybe I'm the bounty, either way, and I have almost beat them several times, or they've almost beat me, and we're going in and out. I'm repairing. Should they, with the like knowledge that I have the intent to kill them, be able to just repair in front of me with no consequences? I don't think so, personally. I think that person is free game. And what I'm reminded of is back whenever Eclipses and Retaliators were very OP, and people would go into armistice zone, refill their missiles, come out, shoot, go into armistice zone, refill their missiles, come out, shoot, and get so many kills. Do you guys remember that? It was awful.
But that was resolved, right?
That was resolved, right?
And,
but it's
and I
still...
know you pay attention. There's the resolution for the armistice zones in these areas as well, similar to like how they are at Everest.
I guess my question would be, at Everest in armistice zone, could I ram a ship that is not in the pad, but maybe even shooting me? They're in armistice zone, but the armistice zone allows me to shoot. Do you know what I mean?
Can I respond to your question with a question?
Yeah, sure.
Why would you give a scenario for me, because I don't PvP? Why are we trying to find reasons to ram? Should we be trying to find every other reason other than to ram?
No. I agree with you.
Okay.
And I think the solution to ramming someone in an armistice zone would be to remove them and then up station security. right? Hit scan weapons, missile turrets. I'm talking about like that feeling you get in Elite Dangerous or Eve when you approach a station as a criminal. You should feel like I am out of my absolute mind if I think I'm going to get anywhere near Everest with a CS5. If you're like above a CS2 and you approach a station, you should be cooked the moment you enter the facility, right? And so it should take a effort to take down these turrets. Maybe even like, I don't know, this would give a reason for like data running ships. You disable something that would allow you to have a 30-second interval where you could go in and like destroy turrets, or something that would make it a more of a challenge. Because right now you can sit in front of Port Olisar or you can sit at Everest, and the turrets there are an absolute joke. Like, nobody is convinced that these turrets are protecting absolutely anyone. They're just wasting server resources is what they're doing.
There's wasted
Have they killed anyone? I would like to see how many station kills have there been this update. It's got to be less than the rocks. You've died to the stations?
Well, I died to Everest. I just got.
Oh, you died to Everest?
I just like got one shot randomly and was like, "Whoa! I guess the server woke up." By one
Were
of
you
the
just
size
like flying
10s.
around? Yeah, that happens. Like, probably what happened was like the server hitched, and on your screen you were moving, but the server thought you were standing still, and you just got insta tapped, right?
Sure.
Which that can happen, right? So, but 99.99% of the time, the station security is an absolute joke. And what I've always said is, if a ship can have it, why can't stations, right? So why can't stations have missiles? Why can't stations do things? For example, if I get pad rammed, why is there not a system in the game that says, hey, you just got pad rammed, your ship doesn't have to be claimed? Because if I'm a criminal and I get sent to prison, guess what? My ship is automatically claimed. That is so weird that if you're a criminal and your ship gets blown up, you walk out of Klesher and your ship is automatically claimed. But if you get pad rammed, you have to reclaim your ship. That makes
I said that on
zero
stream
sense.
before the podcast. I was like,
Zero sense.
The punishment for the PvP killing the player is actually less than the player going to jail, because they have endless merits and they just go to the elevator and leave. It's like super weird, dude. So yeah, I mean, there's so much broken here, but I don't know where you want to go with your notes, but I was gonna touch on like. Go for it.
Yeah.
No. If you got notes and you got your
I mean,
next
you're
thing,
using my time, but go for it.
I'll add 30 seconds just for
kidding,
the hair.
I'm
just
kidding.
for the hair, dude. Do you use GLH?
Wait, GL8? I use Aussie spray.
Okay.
Is what I use.
Yeah.
3-Minute Miracle, which is the product that I use. That's not like my nickname or anything.
I've heard different.
Okay, so yeah, what I was gonna say, basically, this whole conversation to me boils down to the fact that the punishments sorry, I can't look away from chat. The punishments should be in-game mechanics.
Yeah.
If I pad ram someone, I should go straight to jail for an hour. Okay. Maybe even like if people are like, well, what about first time flyers? Blah, 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 blah. Well, okay. Either A, they can learn the hard way, or B, there needs to be some sort of,
newbie,
just
tag.
like rep system, the same way that I log into a server and it knows I'm a bounty hunter. Okay. The server knows that this person has pad rammed even once in their career before. Okay. So you ram once. Okay. You get a warning. Ram ever again, hour in prison. Boom. Go do a vent mission, clear your name. You get away from the station. Like, it just needs to be a little bit more harsh. If CIG doesn't want people ramming an armistice zone, I feel like the solution is not to ban these people. I feel like the solution is to make better game mechanics. That's my personal opinion. I think that I just am always going to rely on CIG making a better system for the game instead of blaming PvPers for taking advantage of it. And I think that this is an issue, right? Because like people are getting warnings, right? But there's no logs. They can't see what they did wrong. Okay, imagine SaltEMike, hey, you're getting a warning, and if you continue to do what you're doing, you are going to be banned. I need you to stop doing it. And you're like, well, what did I do? I can't tell you, but it was bad. Let me tell you, it was bad, but I can't tell you. You know?
I should have asked Virgil this. Have they gotten a response from player relations at all? Because I
have been in contact with several people. I've been in contact with several people who are talking to player relations, asking them for proof of what they did. And I
Nothing.
don't believe in naming and shaming, okay? That's not what I'm asking CIG to do. But every other video game you play, League of Legends, Apex Legends, Valorant, whatever, if you get reported for saying something in chat, you get a log of what you said.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be provided so people can steer away from what they said. I don't believe that. I think people who shit talk, especially when they can't back it up, but I'm telling you, the majority of people who shit talk, the majority, there are a couple of excessive PvPers out there for sure, but the majority of people who shit talk are people who are being pirated, people who are victims to PvP. And I understand why they're getting mad in global, but I'm telling you, the reason why those people are not being reported as much as the PvPers is because the PvPers don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, you people who are being victims out there and saying shit in global chat, the PvPers are mad now, and they're going to report you just as much as you're reporting them now. So it's like, it's going to be a double standard is what I'm saying. It's going to be a double standard.
That's where I was trying to get somebody to sort of say when I was like, what do you think of the toxicity going in the other direction? Like the streamer crying, right? And I was using the streamer, and maybe it was my wording that was bad, but I obviously don't think that that's the right response, right? But this is like kind of the bed you made and lie in it sort of thing. And that's what it has to be from CIG's perspective. They're going to get a lot of false claims now. It's going to be super annoying. And I think the right solution is like what you said, having it be an in-game one. But when it comes to pad ramming and excessive things, like they have to step in at some point, dude.
I agree.
So,
absolutely. I agree.
Not one of
if
those
someone is
times?
being harassed, if SaltEMike logs onto a stream, or it doesn't matter if it's SaltEMike, doesn't matter if it's a 2-viewer Andy, doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter if you're not a streamer at all.
Yeah.
If you're being excessively harassed, then I feel like CIG needs to step in. Obviously, that's not okay. But where is excessive harassment? Someone put $1 million AUEC or $1 million AUEC bounty on me the other day. And is that okay? What if I wouldn't have wanted that to happen? Is that harassment?
I think that's
like,
awesome.
Is that okay
I'm
for them to do it?
I think it's awesome too.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And someone ended up claiming the bounty on me the other day when I went to go camp Port Olisar because I heard the news that people were getting these emails. And someone ended up claiming the bounty, which is hilarious. But it's like, where's the line of harassment? If let's say me and you had bad blood, Mike, and I decide I want to go to war with your org. Anytime I see anyone in your org, I want to shoot them. Is that okay?
Yeah,
is that all right?
Well, that's the one thing that I was trying to talk about, and I don't remember exactly what other games do for stuff like this. A lot of what direction that other games went in after warring mechanics in like Ultima Online was they created factions, and factions were like, I sign up for this faction, I am at war immediately when I sign up with all other factions. CIG doesn't want to do that. So the warring thing is the biggest gray area, and this is the thing that I talked to Virgil about, all that stuff. And if CIG is going to talk about anything, it should be that, because that is where the excessive thing happens. Is like, I decide that I'm at war with you. Well, I don't want to be at war with you, but war is one way. So like, America doesn't have to get consent from the people that they're dropping bombs on. They just drop bombs on them. So it's
that's true.
It's a weird thing.
Xylo's in chat saying it's okay. So I'm gonna take CIG's word for this. And what I've been telling all these other PvPers is like, yo, listen, and maybe CIG's gonna be whatever. That I've been telling them, push even harder, go kill more people. And what I mean by that is like, what I want to know is like, where is the line? If there's not a line, great. But what I think personally is someone who plays the good guy most of the time. I bounty hunt on stream for the last 6 months. It's all I do. Play the good guy. I symbol people. We attack pirates. I want bad guys to be in the game. Bad guys are good for the game.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this interesting dichotomy whenever you have good guys and bad guys facing each other, right? And I don't want people who don't want to PvP to like be forced to PvP. What I want is for them to be rewarded for PvP. And that's via Jumptown, That's via this merit thing that you were talking about, where you can hold a point. That's via, I've talked about in Pyro, they can have abandoned salvage station where you go in. There's really strong AA turrets. You drive in. There's ground vehicles. People are flying in. You could FPS, get your multi-tool out, bring these rare spawned, components onto your ship and go sell them. Boom, you have salvage V1. And it's like basically theaters of war in the PU on Pyro. And it's like anyone goes, and there's these high value components that people want, right? And I think that having these in-game solutions to draw PvPers together is the solution to get people who don't want to PvP away from PvPers. So it's a win-win-win for everyone.
Yeah. Somebody in chat said the idea the segment exists shows how poorly CIG communicated. I don't think that's 100% true, but I think that that's a pretty good issue to
I do think it was a pretty bad fat finger by CIG.
Yeah,
I don't mean any offense by that, but the fact that those words were ever used is ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really glad CIG walked it back pretty fast, because the words excessive player killing
is
in
insane.
A punishment should, yeah. If
In a
they
game with
really
PvP,
don't, if they
like...
genuinely don't want people to be regulated in PvP, then the words excessive player killing should have never been used.
Yeah.
Maybe excessive stream sniping, but again, they came out and they said, hey, this is a mistake. The time. But
I keep getting this ridiculous memory leak. I don't understand what's happening, where every once in a while somebody sounds like a robot. Sorry about that, guys. It was only for like 2 seconds, by the way. All right, your time has ended, but is there any final thing you want to say?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is just about streamers is, as someone who is, a pretty prominent streamer, and I feel like, whether you're a big streamer, whether you're a small streamer, is like, I agree with the gray area on streaming and stream sniping.
Yeah.
Is that you have two sides of it, right? You have the way that you can pretty much okay, listen, here's the deal. The difference between someone stream sniping and not getting caught stream sniping is just how smart they are.
Yeah.
It's very easy to not get caught stream sniping is what I'm trying to say. It's happened to me, and there's been situations where I absolutely think someone is stream sniping me and they weren't.
Yeah.
Right?
Me too.
Like undeniable. If I sent to CIG undeniable evidence and it wasn't a snipe, it just was not. And I was proven to that afterwards. Right? But I didn't say it on stream. I kept cool, and I was like, hey,
I never keep cool, dude. I'm so bad.
Right. But you want to hear some personal advice, Mike? Yeah. Is that I've been told by many stream snipers that I am so boring to stream snipe.
But yeah, I've
because
gotten to
of
that
the way
point.
that I react.
I've gotten to that point, but I still mauled it all the time.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to react or anything, but I mean that's absolutely what these people are looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
I just don't care.
And so, right, you don't care, and that's fine. But what I'll say is that, yeah.
But when it's not, my god.
Yeah, totally. And I guess hard. Yeah, and I feel like that's reasonable, especially if they actually are stream sniping you.
Yeah.
But the thing is I feel like the burden of proof should always be on the streamer. And at the end of the day, some of these streamers need to get over themselves, because it's really not that hard to find people, especially in PTU. They know you're in PTU. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've jumped on a PTU server. There's like 3 servers. I jumped onto PTU, and I see all the streamers. Yep. And guess what? They're all at Xenothreat. How hard is it to find a streamer at Xenothreat? You know what I mean? It's not. So
hey, I'm getting mesmerized by the hair, but your time is up.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I love you. I don't want to be that guy. So I'm with you.
Ding, ding.
I wanted to stop, but I feel bad for everybody else that I was more hard on them. Your hair's just
hairs
so
in
nice.
chat, boys.
Yeah, your
hairs in
so
chat.
Nice. It's so nice. All right, Richard. Hello.
Hey.
So a surprise guest that came at a perfect time. I'm really glad you messaged me, dude, because I know for a fact that you've dealt with issues as well, and I wanted to have as many sides of this story as possible. But yeah, everybody said you're the last caller for the day, so everybody said a lot of things. Feel free to share your experiences and anything you want to say.
Well, I'm just now hearing about all this. So, what happened?
Okay, you got it.
Man, it's
was
yeah,
like, do I have to
it's oh boy, yeah. Again, it's just a lot of topics that were already covered by a lot of people
Of
that came
course.
on today. So, but first things, Mike, it's been a while. It's nice to talk to you again.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
I think it's like literally been since you've visited Florida.
Yeah,
I'm so busy. It's crazy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I personally, I kind of wish we were meeting up, maybe in a different scenario. It wasn't anything drama related, but
Yeah,
no,
of
it's
course.
nice to talk to you again.
Nice to talk to you too.
So yeah, about this whole thing again. Your title is discussing CIG taking action on PvP player conduct. I think specifically what this is it's not a PvP issue. I mean,
Yeah,
really,
I
personally,
struggled
that's
with the title so bad, but yeah.
it's
like, what do I
or
say?
it's really a conduct issue. It's player conduct, harassment. It's again not trying to say that people shouldn't be PvPing the way they are in general. It's more of like hey, we've got a small group of players, very small group of players that is taking this to an extreme level. That's really being disruptive. It's just again they call it excessive griefing and stream sniping and targeted harassment and the like. As almost everybody has said today, though, of course, I saw the warnings that were posted on social media and everything, and the wording was just not good, right?
No,
it just wasn't good, and I think that really threw people into a tizzy of it's like, wait, can I get like a high score and then I'm supposed to stop? Don't tell Nerd Show and Tell that. He'll be like, oh, he's got this counter on there and makes it a point for some of his streams anyways. But so yeah, that just really hopefully that does get changed. I'm sure people at CIG
it already has. Yeah, Xylo addressed it like right away.
Yeah.
Like excessive player killing does not mean that. It means targeted harassment. He was like, just switch the words. Like we should have done that. Sorry. So that's like one that was like a big oopsie by them. When I first read your tweet that you made, I was like, I didn't like it, and I had to read it a couple times. And the reason I didn't like it is because it sounded like we were cheering something that was excessive player killing. Like, okay, now I don't have, like, hooray, CIG, now I don't have to deal with as many issues. But then I read it more, and it was like, your tweet was, like, super fine. But do you want to touch on, like, just how, I don't know, how you feel... let me try and phrase this right. I'm sorry, CaptainRichard.
That's okay.
I feel so like that some people were popping champagne, and Xylo even said in the chat like we shouldn't be popping champagne about like they're still going to be killing. We're still allowing this. This is like just a few people. What do you think about as a streamer how to handle situations when players are attacking you? How do you handle it? What's the right way to do it? I don't think popping champagne is.
I think it kind of, before talking about like in-game engagement, first things first, I stand by what I said on Twitter. I mean, I really do. The one thing where
I think it was appropriate.
Well, the one thing I kind of regret is maybe I should have put a GIF in there of a lot of people celebrate, cheering the fact that this happened, because I mean, it does mean that some people probably feel like
was the gift.
They're being selected specifically, for reasons. But again, I stand by what I said. That tweet got a lot more traction than I thought it was going to. But maybe I could have used a better gift and not make it seem like it was a celebration.
Now that you mention it, it was actually the gift. And I was like, ooh, that's a little,
I was looking for almost like a Judge Judy Hammer thing too. And I was like, no, people might take that the wrong. I don't know, but
it's hard to find a good gift sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's that's social media for you. But I think, and something that Xylo mentioned in chat just now is this is even kind of new for CIG. This is really kind of the first time that they're taking action on specifically, targeted harassment and stream sniping. And, and one thing to note that is that post that Xylo made about, excessive griefing and stream sniping, that was a year ago.
Yeah.
And it was last March, right? I think. From on that thread,
a little over a year ago.
So again, as far as I know, it hasn't affected too many people, but it has affected some people with warnings. And of course, some people apparently got some temp bans, suspensions, what have you. That's a year. That is an entire year where apparently for certain people, things have been piling up on CIG's desks about those individuals. And well, it's like that meme you see sometimes. It's like, curses, once again, I've met the consequences of my actions. And it's like, I've foiled again. But like many people who are on today, I've talked to Xylo. I've talked to him a good bit about it. After feeling like I've been specifically targeted again and again. I'm sure he's probably tired of hearing it from me. But one of the things that he mentioned that has sunk in with me, and I haven't forgotten, is he said, he's like, we are taking these reports. Thank you for sending them in. But Richard, there will be bad guys in the game. There are going to be people who are going to try to take on a persona, like Acid earlier was saying, it's like, we have like a religious cult where it's like we need souls, and that's fun. At least there's like an RP side of that, which is kind of fun. But he just made it clear that we are, we support PvP gameplay. We support piracy as much as what little actual piracy can be done in the game. You kind of have to RP it a little bit. But that admittedly, that did kind of change my perspective a little bit, because admittedly, I'd kind of forgotten. I'd forgotten that some people are going to want to take that persona of being notorious in the verse. Like, Saurus, for instance. Saurus is one of the OG Star Citizen streamers. I think we both know that he has been saying for his entire time playing Star Citizen that he wants to be, a space pirate. He wants to be well known for being a nefarious space pirate. And that's fine. That's awesome. But again, what took place? What was it, Friday now? This wasn't people specifically getting called out for just doing PvP or taking on personas. It was people who got basically people who are warned or suspended who they decided to just go too far with it. You're going to have extremes on both sides. I mean, you really are. People that take PvP in to extreme formats, and you have people who still to this day think that there should be completely separate servers where there's no PvP whatsoever. And I really do personally try to take kind of a middle of the road approach to this. And so I think that really the crux of this for the very, very small minority of folks that were affected by this is that there probably is a substantial reason for it, something that has accumulated over time. Just CIG is like, okay, we generally take a very hands-off approach on this, but we have to do something at this point. It took a year, and now it's happened, and now we know that CIG is willing to do something about it when it just goes too far. But,
So. I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, but when I think of like who the top Star Citizen streamer would be, you're the first person I think of. You because of that, you're going to have a bigger target on your head than anyone else. How do you intend to address, like, it's never going to go away. How do you intend to address it? Just like, I don't know how.
Well, again, for me personally, it's just I have this notion that certain people are just going to have it in for you for whatever reason. People find you and they have decided that they are going to go after you. It just repeatedly. I will say that some of the people who got suspended from the game are people that have been going after me for years. This isn't like a few people mentioned where it's like ones or twos or threes or 5 times. This is a group that has done this a lot of times. They've decided to just force themselves into engagements, try to disrupt things as much as possible, including multiple games. Again, some of the people got suspended, they have been harassing me in other games as well. So again, it's not just Star Citizen. It is a thing where people, they just get, I don't know if it's like an obsession or whatever, or they're like, hey, this is a person that I control on a regular basis, so I'm going to do so. These folks who have come after me, and I admittedly have reported them more than a few times, they have never got after me when I wasn't streaming. So to me, it's like, well, hey, I mean, and I've seen folks, again, some of these folks that have been in servers, in games, doing whatever, just attacking PvP, what have you. Yeah. It's like not once has this ever happened to me outside of streaming. So it is a streaming specific thing. Someone said earlier in chat that, for streamers, and they're not meant to be like shooting a fish in a barrel. They're not meant to be easy targets for people. These are people who are sharing their gameplay, trying to get big groups together, or just simply, just wanting to enjoy the game in a public format. That doesn't automatically mean it's like, hey, this person gets to be my punching bag today. I don't know, and I think that's what I kind of eventually just got kind of tired of it. And so after the same people doing it over and over and over again, then I make it very clear that the people who are perpetually trying to pester me or the people in my player group, what have you, it's like, I just I'll have to do what I got to do to see if CIG is willing to do anything about it. For a long time, I honestly kind of thought CIG was willing to let everything go, because there was just no action,
because I didn't think there would be action. I just have one specific person that bothers me every now and again, but it's pretty consistently like an obvious stream snipe to me, and I just didn't do it because I didn't think it was a thing. I don't know if I will still. I'd like to try and find a solution outside of it, like they say, but sometimes you just can't, right? And like your situation sounds really the most extreme, and that's why I'm pretty happy we got to talk about it today, because it's not clear to everybody what's exactly happening. Like other games, like I don't think anybody knew that, right? Like that's nuts. That's pretty extreme.
And I don't know. I just CIG has provided options for people. That one of the biggest things is says like if someone's harassing you on a server, then change servers. It's simply go ahead and log out. If you're playing with people, suggest that they log out. But for some people, that doesn't stop them. They have tactics that they use. They'll find what server you're on. They'll start spamming invites at people, trying to work their way in, simply to get at, well, more often than not, specifically the person streaming the game. And that's stream sniping. And that is a policy that CIG has stated. It's like, it's just not acceptable, especially not done repeatedly over and over and over by the same people. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I was personally affected by. And well, I've tried to deal with it, try to keep my chin up and everything. But after a while, I just got tired of it. So, I ended up sending in reports per CIG suggestion. And when you're streaming, you have a lot of really easy proof because, well, you're streaming, VODs and everything are available. But, it's for me personally, I don't agree with people who say that PvP is too rampant in the game. As like everyone said today, it gets kind of hard to do PvP in the game when you're just not around a lot of people. We only have one system, but the system is still pretty big and people get spaced out. One of the things I focus on my channel specifically is try to, big group gameplay. I try to make it to where it's like, if I'm, regularly streaming Star Citizen, run patch releases, whatever, I try to make it a point where it's like, you can come here, not just because of me, but for other people to play with a lot of other people. And that's one of the things that I've been accused of is that, it's like, that's CaptainRichard. He gets mad at stream snipers, doesn't like PvP. It's not that I don't like PvP. It's that I'm trying to get people together to do PvP events. Like other people call them scripted events, what have you. And it's like if you're trying to do PvP, then why not get involved instead of saying, okay, well, here's like 30, 40 people. That's a large group of people. Let me see if I can somehow weasel my way into the server and just disrupt all of that. And again, to me, that's kind of a defeatist thing to do, to say it's like, hey, I really want PvP, but I'm going to ruin PvP for other people. That's the one thing I just personally just really don't understand, why trolling or griefing is that much more valuable to someone than getting involved, or working harder towards creating PvP groups. I've done it for years. Sure. You gotta reach out to people, gotta be accepting, whether you're from a different stream or a different org or just brand new or you're a veteran, that doesn't matter to me. I say, let's all get together. Let's try to make some fun, because, I think a lot of us have beaten PvE content to death. Yeah. Try to bring people together, set up some PvP events, and give people the content that they want, including PvP gameplay. That's something that I've tried to do for a very long time. And, well, like I said, I have some people that just don't even want to see that happen. They just want to just go completely ham. So.
The thing that I would counter you with a little bit here, and I'd like to, is I agree wholeheartedly with the making your way into the server to ruin it, right? To ruin whatever's happening on that stream. And I don't agree with this in all cases, but CIG has this thing about the openness of it and the emergentness of it. And the pulling into a server, it makes it not emergent, right? But the idea of if I did come across CaptainRichard and his 30 friends or 50 friends, whatever, you know, the server caps would allow, and I did disrupt it, I can argue that it can be upsetting, but not at all outside of the scope of the game Star Citizen, right? And I feel like that's where it's tough, is because those players' fun is ruining other people's fun, and those players exist in every MMO. And part of me is like, God, that's the worst. But then the other part of me is like, they have to carve a place for those people too, and it sucks, but it's true. And I think, and I want to hear what your thoughts are about this. Yeah, we'll add a couple minutes. It is the idea of, it's kind of on CIG that they didn't provide that place for you to do that, is how I feel. It is because the game is so open and everything allows for this emergent thing. If you wanted your place to do your event, I wish there was a place for you to do it. You know what I'm saying? And it makes it really tough when you don't, because then it puts these artificial restrictions on other players that maybe shouldn't have them. Because I don't think players should not be allowed to attack you because you were doing a scripted event. And I don't necessarily think that's what you're saying. But that's where the real issue lies here, is how do you have your fun and them have their fun at the same time, even though your fun and their fun are two totally different things, right?
I do take, I try to do some mitigation. I tell people in the group, it's like, yeah, try not to have a crime stab, because of course bounty hunters will come in. We try to go to like really obscure places in the verse, the middle of nowhere, the ass end of Daymar or something. But again, because it's streaming, everything is being broadcast. Then
the sun,
yeah.
I know the position of the sun, like it gets that crazy, but yeah.
But you are right in that, there's people like, oh, it's just got a streamer force field, thinks he shouldn't be attacked by anyone. And you're right.
I'm not saying that about you though, just to be clear.
Well, let's put it this way. I do try to do, some mitigation, but I let people know, it's like, yeah, this is an active game where PvP is going to happen. But I think the crux of this is that, there's tens of thousands of people who play this game, either, not regularly at all or like every day or what have you. But when it comes down to the same people finding you wherever you are, and doing doing what they do, it's not a coincidence anymore. It is a targeted harassment situation, and the people who did it too much found out on Friday that it's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
I don't want to take that away from you, because that is wholeheartedly the truth. I was just bringing up the fact that people are now afraid because of what happened, and that's kind of where I'm glad you went where you went, is because if I come across CaptainRichard, it's not like your hands off. It's when it was the same person over and over again, it just got ridiculous, Yeah,
I love watching PvP players, guys like CaptainBerks or Zero State, who sit there and, they try to figure out PvP mechanics. I find that stuff really fascinating. Yeah. You'd have to be a fan of PvP to do that. But again, when it just comes down to, middle of the road gameplay versus people finding extremes, it's just, some people, like people have been wondering, it's like, what are the lines? How do you know what the edge is without going over it? But like you said earlier, some people, if they find out what that line is, they're going to try to toe it as much as possible to try to get away with whatever they can for fun or for amusement or whatever torment they want to cause.
Yeah.
But
well, all right, Richard. I mean, I guess we'll have to call it there. It's like food time. I'm getting the texts like, "Where are you?" So,
can I mention one last thing?
Please.
Pyro, I think, is going to help out a lot with this. I think Pyro, hopefully of CIG, fingers crossed, is going to make it the PvP playground that people really do want, where there's, a lot less consequences. Neat. But really either way, thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your insight. Thank you, CaptainRichard. I appreciate it.
Sure thing, buddy.
I'll put you down in the caller dump where everyone is. Guys, if Guys, can you hear me? Everybody in here, can you guys talk in this?
Yo,
To
Cutlet,
get
you're
out
on.
Listen, I got the wife. It's time to go eat. So I know I wanted to do like a thing where you guys can all talk together and do that at the end. I want to start out with thank you so much. I appreciate all of your insights and everything you guys said. You guys are the best. And I thought
No problem.
They got a ton
Especially
of feedback.
me.
Yes, of course.
CaptainBerks
great.
was just saying he's going to send you a care package with some hair product in it.
Perfect.
It's true.
I'm
And a
looking
slice
for
of my hair.
GLH.
Just a lock.
If there's no GLH in there, I'll be upset. But yeah, just 2 minutes. If you guys have anything that like you were talking about that you want to share that you thought was really important, go for it.
I'll just touch on exactly what you and Richard just ended on there, which is I hope Pyro is a solution for this, but they've got to do what they did with JT, which is make Pyro more rewardable for people who don't want to PvP. You know, reward people who don't want to PvP with like extra income, make Pyro trading and mining and all that like way more profitable than Stanton. That's how they're going to have to do it for sure.
Yeah.
And then in before, people still complain, no matter that Pyro is totally lawless system.
Yeah,
And here's the thing. Even if it is lawless, we got to have mechanics that allow us to actually have PvP. Because we can have lawless space, but if people can still fly away whenever they want,
We have
that's
lawless
not
space right
gonna
now.
make things better.
Yeah, technically, you have pretty
Agreed.
damn lawless space right now. Like, all you do is get a crime stat. So there has to be some additional things really added in there. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem isn't space. I mean, Microtech, like I said, is the size of Canada. It's that we need mechanics to draw people together. So having Pyro on its own, I'm with Berks on this one. We need to have a mechanic in the game that funnels people, that draws people. And I think the most exciting thing is rewarding them, like what Berks said in his part. And I thought that was really intriguing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not about the Pyro system. It's just about the content. Like you can have Pyro inside of Stanton, but
And it'd
we
be
don't
fine.
have it. And we can have a Stanton inside of Pyro. If there is no content, there will be the same old shit, right? And no one would care.
100%.
It's not about the Pyro. It's about the mechanics they implement, the combat mechanics they implement, and the player and the mechanics that will drive players. It's not about the name of the system. Pyro is just gonna be another fancy stuff with asteroids and broken star or whatever they're gonna be, and that's about it. It's not the system.
SpaceCutlet. We need a timer.
A shout out to Xylo for showing
being
some
here.
clarity and transparency on this.
Yep.
Like, you know, a lot of
100%.
questions got asked by Xylo today, and he answered a lot. And just one more from me too. I'll be sending out war declarations
GG's
to
in
everyone
chat for
here.
Xylo.
So check your inboxes after.
I've sent declarations
I'm
to
so
CIG.
ready.
I'm officially with war.
I really hope everybody had a lot of fun. I hope everybody got some feedback and understanding on the situation. I think there was a lot of misinformation around it and a lot of just people making decisions about other people. And I think I hope everybody learned something from this. So I'll leave it with that, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for coming on, and I hope we don't have to do something like this under these circumstances again, but I hope we get to do something like this again in the future. So thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for putting it on, dude.
For sure.
Yeah,
This
I
is
appreciate
awesome.
it.
He just
GG's,
likes
everyone.
700 viewers. Come on.
I was playing ads the whole time. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't play an ad, but I appreciate it.
Find me on
guys.
OnlyFans/CaptainBerks.
Ah! I just left the call. All right, everybody. That is it for today's show. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you're watching this on YouTube. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think on the whole situation. If you are watching on Twitch and you missed some of the show, it was 2.5 hours. It'll be on YouTube later today. It'll probably be pretty late tonight. All right. So everybody have a great one. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.